or 877-25rhino.com. See what we did there? Genius. Tell them, ladies.
Don't paint, don't Rhino. Go Rhino Shield. Never paint your house again. Rhino Shield.
Hi, it's Steve Mann. Have you heard the commercials for the Mark Patrick Stop Smoking seminars? And they said only $49.99 and it could work for you. So I thought, that's not even a week's worth of smoking. So I went. And guess what? It did work for me. You know, my friends and family are still amazed. I quit smoking. I didn't have cravings, anxiety, or weight gain. Listen, I don't know how it works, but I know it works because I'm living proof, and it's 100% guaranteed. So what do you got to lose? I'll tell you what you got to lose. A very bad habit.
Stop smoking now without cravings, irritability, weight gain, or your money back. Only $49.99 guaranteed. Hypnosis designed to work without anxiety, irritability, or weight gain. Join Mark Patrick's hypnosis seminar and lose the weight or stop smoking for only $49.99 guaranteed, or your money back. Because of coronavirus, seminar now online live Thursday, March 25th or Saturday, March 27th for the St. Louis area. Details at markpatrickseminars.com. Register now at markpatrickseminars.com.
Censorship happens elsewhere. This is where St. Louis comes to talk. 97.1 FM Talk. You can stream the station at radio.com anytime or get the free radio.com app for your phone. The Annie Fry Show is sponsored by Forensic IT, the tech experts that find the root cause of your technical problems. ForensicIT.com.
That is exactly what I needed to hear.
Thank God someone here knows what they're talking about.
That's us. That's right. Gotta love this American ride.
Right, you need to take the time and get the full picture.
Come on, turn the radio on. It's Saturday and I won't be long.
Don't get me wrong, I love the ladies. I mean, they rev my engine, but they don't belong in the newsroom. It is Anchor Man, not Anchor Lady.
What do you want from me? I'm not America's sweetheart.
Goodness sake, sis. Keep your voice down. Your father's listening to the radio.
I'm not America's sweetheart.
This is the Annie Fry Show.
John, Sandra?
Yeah, Griff, what's the driver for that on our side of the border? Is it just that the Border Patrol agents do not have time to process these notices to appear?
Well, they're doing that because they're so overwhelmed, and so people see people getting across. Remember, in the big scheme of things, John, there's no greater driver or pull factor than people back in their home country seeing the success of those that went before them, whether it's MPP or whether it is lax procedures like you're seeing in the RGV, where simply you cross the river illegally. Right at that point of contact, the Border Patrol processes you, puts your fingerprints into a biometric database, puts you on a bus, drives you, in the case of McAllen, to the bus station, and turns you loose, therefore placing the onus or responsibility of getting an asylum hearing on the migrant themselves by walking into an ICE office and scheduling one. Now, how many of those do you think will walk into an ICE office unannounced and ask for a hearing? Officials tell me that would be a very low number.
So there's Griff Jenkens, who is the Fox News correspondent live from Tijuana, Mexico right now, has been covering this issue from the border and, laying it out there for you. They're so overwhelmed at our southern border right now. The immigration that is taking place from the southern side of our border across our southern border is so overwhelming to our own officials that they are now unable to process them in a way that even gives them a court date that they also could not show up for. Now we're asking them, would you please show up to ask for a court date? Oh my gosh, you've got to be kidding me with this right now. I wanted to play that for you because Griff Jenkens is going to be with us on the Annie Fry Show at 1:40 p.m. and we're going to talk to him about these specific issues. We're excited to get his firsthand account because as we have seen media outlets, not just Fox News, saying, hey, let us in, let us see what's going on our southern border, show us the problem / non-crisis that you claim it to be, Biden administration, and let us see for ourselves. Because remember, This country is still run by we the people. Welcome into the Annie Fry Show. Very glad that you're here with us on this Monday. We heard the president speaking with Harris Faulkner earlier, just about an hour or so ago, and he had a lot to say about what's really going on the border. And when we don't have the president of the United States, President Biden, who is answering questions, and when we have Jen Psaki, who has a lot of words in her vocabulary, none of which are answers to the questions that are being posed to her, it's very interesting to hear President Trump's version of what he sees going on the southern border. Here, listen to this.
Why you are calling this a national disaster?
Well, they're destroying our country. As the gentleman said, the violence in his country. Well, we're bringing the violence to our country because many of the people coming are not nonviolent people. They're violent people. Many of the people coming. These countries don't send out their finest. And in some cases, I'm sure you have wonderful, fine people, but you also have criminals. You have murderers. You have sex traffickers. You have a lot of very bad people coming into our country, and they're doing nothing about it. They're going to be released, or they're already being released.
It's shocking to observe the drastic difference that's taking place between these two administrations. And we don't really have any other evidence to suggest that there's a difference in what they are trying to do on the southern border, other than they know they want to do the opposite of what Trump did. Look at the numbers that come out of the end of the Trump administration, how they were handling border crossings, how they were disincentivizing people from risking their lives and the lives of their children to come to our southern border to seek asylum in our country. When you listen to what Griff Jenkens was saying there at the beginning of the show, you hear all of the reasons why people are looking at what's going on. They're like, we got to get in on this now. The getting's good. He's talking about the greatest, Griff Jenkens just said there, and he's in Tijuana at this moment. He just said the greatest driving factor is the visuals and the reports and the ability of these people who want to come to America to see with their own eyes and hear the successes of getting into this country without even being asked to have a court date. To suggest that you're going to come across the southern border and knock on ICE's door and say, I would like to have a court date, please. That's ridiculous. And we all know it. Here's more from Trump from just about an hour ago.
I kept them in Mexico. By keeping them in Mexico, Mexico becomes much tougher at their northern border because they don't want any more. So I said to Mexico, look, if you're going to do any of this stuff that's bad for us, I'm going to put tariffs on all of the cars that you make for the United States, because before my administration, they stole 32% of our automaking business. The unions don't realize that. The union members realize it, but the heads of the unions that all support Democrats, no matter who they are, they don't realize it. But they took 32% of our automobile business. I said, all those cars that you make are going to be tariffed. So Mexico was great. I must tell you, Mexico was great. The relationships
they're not
they
doing
developed
that
were
anymore.
great. Well, no,
I mean,
now
we can tell that they're not doing that
They have a
anymore.
field day. They have people that are rank amateurs. They have people that talk about ideology, but it's not even good ideology. Why would it work? Why are we supposed to take care of the world? And in many cases, the world's criminals. And they're coming over not from the three countries plus Mexico. They're coming over now from Yemen. They're coming over from the Middle East.
Who among the media right now is providing truth and accuracy in what's really taking place in the southern border? Not because they just want to show you what's happening, but because what we're dealing with is a crisis. What we are dealing with is a crisis of our own making. This was not in existence in this capacity when Trump was still in office. It just wasn't. You can listen to reporters now starting to in a bit more with a bit more bravery, I suppose, talking to people and figuring out why do we come now and why shouldn't we have gone before? Because like what Trump just said there, President Trump worked with Mexico to keep a strong northern Mexican border before they even got to our side of the border. And he, through diplomacy, told Mexico, you need to take care of this or we're going to throw tariffs at you like you've never seen before, which is one of Trump's favorite phrases. We are going to make you pay for your lack of observation towards that border. Are we not doing that anymore? Does Biden not want that to happen? You have to ask yourself, when you're observing what is taking place on our southern border, you have to ask yourself, do they want these people to come here? Before anybody starts reading me the Statue of Liberty and telling me about sending us you're tired and you're weary, please understand that you can always work to immigrate to this country. We have never closed our country to immigration. There is a process. Just like when you go to Disney World, if you want to wait for one of the big rides there, you're going to have to wait the amount of time that Disney World says that you're going to have to wait if you want to ride the ride. You don't get to show up, cut the line, and say, I'm here and I want to get in now. And they just say, okay, here you go, right to the front of the line. That doesn't happen. It doesn't happen at the grocery store. It doesn't happen in your child's kindergarten class. They teach those 6-year-olds how to manage lines, order, authority, and make sure that it is respected. Look at what Joe Biden is doing to our southern border through his administration, or what he's allowing to be done if it's people who are managing him and his administration. I think there's a lot of skepticism about who's calling the shots right now. If you look at that and you see how drastically things have changed in the last, 3 months now, you have to ask yourself, is this what they wanted? And if this is what they wanted, what is the end game here? I think you probably have answers in your heads rolling around that you assume are definitely going to be the case. Are they going to turn them all into voters? Are Americans going to stand by and allow that to happen? President Trump spoke a little bit as well about how the Biden administration's drastic change on immigration policy, how did they handle the COVID situation? How is it that right now we have, I just heard this at the top of the hour on our station right here, that the CDC is telling you now is not the time to travel. Now is not the time to travel. The CDC, isn't that Dr. Fauci? If now is not the time to travel, why do we have an influx of people coming across our border to the extent, not only can we not give them court dates, we're not testing all of these people. Now is not the time for well-meaning, law-abiding Americans to travel? Is that what you're saying? This sounds an awful lot like gun control, doesn't it? They're going to make more laws, more gun reform laws, because they're going to keep good people who obey laws from being able to access their Second Amendment rights as much as they used to before. But tell me what law you're going to put into place that's going to make some psychopath like that shooter in Georgia. What law? Like, we have a law. It's don't murder people, and it didn't stop this psychopath from doing what he did. Government stepping in to try to make laws, to try to make regulations and restrictions on your freedom that don't actually bear the fruit of what they say they're going to do is government overreach. It's government overregulation, and it's what this administration currently is absolutely drunk on. Listen to the president talking about his vaccine plan here.
They like to blame the previous administration, just like they said, oh, no, we didn't produce the vaccine. They produced the vaccine, yet Biden got his shot in December.
Yes.
They produced the vaccine. They didn't produce anything. All they did is take our policy, and our policy was incredible. Warp Speed, Operation Warp Speed was incredible. And all they did was take our policy. But, they're saying, oh, they did the vaccine. They didn't do the vaccine. I did the vaccine by pushing the FDA. It would have taken 5 years. You probably would have never had a vaccine, but it would have taken 5 years to get it approved. I got it done in 9 months.
So when it comes to COVID and vaccines, the Biden administration is there taking credit for what the Trump administration had previously done. It would just do my heart a favor if you would have done the same thing for immigration on the southern border. If you cared about COVID, and if you cared about COVID coming into our country, you care about COVID spreading around in our country with the Americans who lawfully, legally, and through liberty live in this country already. You don't want them to go from St. Louis to Florida, or St. Louis to Arizona, or St. Louis to Chicago. You don't want them traveling around the country because the CDC says now is not the time to travel. Well, maybe rip and read one of the policies from the Trump administration and stop the insanity taking place at the border. And maybe, why don't you do this? Let's put Dr. Fauci on the southern border and tell to people coming here, now's not the time to travel. COVID, now is not the time to travel. and see if that makes a difference. See if his message to those people coming here illegally stops them as much as you have successfully stopped Americans from living their lives. We're going to take a quick break and get more into COVID and vaccines and 3 feet of social distancing. Congratulations, everybody. You can now get 50% closer to the people you love with permission from the CDC and your government. Dr. Scott Hardeman is going to join us and tell us about these adjusted numbers and what it might mean for the pursuit to open things back up. We speak with Dr. Scott Hardeman every week on Monday for a couple of segments to get a nonpartisan look at this pandemic that has been really running our lives for a year now. Stick around, your questions as well as you participate on the live chat, Facebook, and the Andy Fry YouTube channel. Send them there, and we will ask them of Dr. Hardeman when we come back. Don't go away.
The Andy Fry Show is streaming online. Watch us live on YouTube and subscribe. Interact with Andy on Facebook. The Andy Fry Show.
A reading from the Golden Oak Lending Book of Mortgage Lingo.
What is a cash out refi? It's using the equity in your home to pay off high interest credit cards. Paid it off! Yes! I'm James Hawkins, president of Golden Oak Lending. With mortgage rates at a record low 1.875%, you can save hundreds each month and skip your next 2 payments. You'll pay nothing out of pocket, and we never charge for a home appraisal if we can't close your loan. And remember, our local lending experts speak mortgage and love translating for our customers. Eliminating debt means putting your dreams back on the table today.
Updated bathroom?
Updated bathroom and a pool table?
Don't push it, Rick.
Get started with our fast and easy zipline tool at goldenoaklending.com.
NMLS 114937, 1.875% fixed, 2.913% APR. FHA 15-year mortgage with 20% equity and approved credit. 111 Westport Plaza, St. Louis, Missouri.
So we just had a banner weekend when it comes to the beautiful weather that just makes you want to at least go sit outside, right? If you are thinking or dreaming about a deck, or maybe a room addition, one of those screen rooms where you can spend more time closer to the outside, but, protected from the elements in your own home, you need to call Lakeside Renovation and Design. They employ over 100 of the best employees that St. Louis has to offer that are going to get the job right for you every single time. Maybe it's a bathroom remodel. Maybe it's a kitchen remodel. Maybe you want to take a storage room in your house and turn it into an office. You can do that with Lakeside Renovation and Design and know that you are going to get the product, the service that you want. They offer a lifetime workmanship warranty on top of the manufacturer's warranty that is going to secure your confidence that they're going to come in and do the job right, and they're going to do it right every time. 636-978-5000. That's 636-978-5000. Call my friends at Lakeside Renovation and Design to get your project started today. LakesideRenovationandDesign.com.
Jewels on Hampton in St. Louis Hills is paying some of the highest prices on gold, silver, diamonds, semi-precious colored stones, and fine watches on site. Jewels on Hampton is a premier jeweler with an exquisite selection of diamonds, semi-precious stone jewelry, and vintage watches. Their expert design team can restyle your jewelry to today's contemporary style. They also do jewelry and watch repair. Need extra cash? Jewels on Hampton is paying some of the highest prices on gold, silver, diamonds, semi-precious colored stones, and fine watches. Bring your collectibles and clocks, sports memorabilia, and figurines too. Jewels on Hampton, 4506 Hampton, just 3 blocks south of Chippewa. Call them at 314-752-5000. That's 314-752-5000. So if you need some extra cash, looking for that one-of-a-kind piece, make Jewels on Hampton your first stop. Jewels on Hampton in St. Louis Hills.
I was having a lot of sinus infections. My sinuses were clogged, pressure, headaches.
Linda suffered for years with chronic sinus infections.
You don't feel like doing anything. When you feel like your head is completely clogged, all you want to do is just lay down and sleep. And the pressure is just not fun, always walking around with a headache.
Now her issues are gone. How? A minimally invasive procedure done in the office of ENT and Sleep Medicine Associates called balloon sinuplasty.
I really did not know what it was like to feel like your you're really breathing and not being so clogged up. I would do it again in a heartbeat, and I would definitely recommend it for someone else.
Do you suffer with chronic sinus infections, facial pain, pressure, headaches? Find out if balloon sinuplasty is the solution for you. Set an appointment today with ENT and Sleep Medicine Associates. Call 618-206-5935. 618-206-5935. That's 618-206-5935.
At your house, you're the ruler of the thermostat. And Ameren Missouri is giving you the power to save with a $0 smart thermostat while supplies last. Find terms at AmerenMissouri.com/save now. Taxes and enrollment and peak time savings apply.
Who wouldn't want a little free money? Be sure to thank your government. Not on this one, Bernie. The Mark Cox redistribution of wealth happens just after the news at the top of the hour. Text in the keyword for a chance to win $1,000. Message and data rates may apply.
I've been grinding so long, been trying it for years. And I got nothing to show, just climbing this rope right here. And if there's a man upstairs, he kept bringing me rain.
Every day we get 2 to 3 more million, and we get closer and closer to where we want to be. We don't really know what that magical point of herd immunity is, but we do know that if we get the overwhelming population vaccinated, we're going to be in good shape.
So there's Dr. Fauci saying, we don't know when we're going to arrive at herd immunity, but we need to get vaccinated because it'll get us there faster. Welcome back to the Annie Fry Show. We appreciate you being with us. A reminder that you can join us, especially for these next couple segments here with Dr. Scott Hardeman on our Facebook Live at facebook.com/Annie Fry Show and the Annie Fry YouTube channel, because Ryan and I are going to have a discussion here with Dr. Hardeman about the latest with coronavirus. And then in the next segment, we take your questions and present them to Dr. Hardeman, get a nonpartisan medical response. It's a service that we are happy to provide for you, and it helps us as well. Dr. Scott Hardeman, a physician at Gateway ENT and Urgent Specialist, joining us now. Welcome back to the show, Doctor. Great to have you here again.
Thank you very much.
So I came across this. It's a New York Times graph that I found on Twitter, so you know that it's factual. And it says here, what are the chances somebody with COVID must be hospitalized? And it breaks down the responses of people in Democrats, Republicans, Independents. And it says here that the correct answer is that there's a 1 to 5% chance that somebody with COVID must be hospitalized. Democrats responded. 41% of Democrats said 50% and up of COVID patients must be hospitalized. 28% of Republicans said so, and 35% of independents said so. When the real answer is 1 to 5% of COVID patients must be hospitalized. Most people think it's 50% and up. How do we get there, and how do we correct that?
Right. I haven't seen that exactly if it's been recent, but I saw a study about 4 or 5 months ago that was very similar to that. And it is kind of staggering to see the number of people who, I think that's to comment kind of on the fear that we've always talked about, that the information overload that people have, it's difficult to sift through that. And, what generally gets talked about are the bad things. And unfortunately, that kind of takes away hope from folks. And so it changes public perception of that. That is true. I mean, like we've talked about all along, the vast majority of people who come down with coronavirus. Yeah.
That is just 1 to 5%.
That's right.
Dr. Scott Hardeman, physician at Gateway ENT and the urgent specialist on the phone with us. Since we're talking about these numbers mostly nationally, I figured you're a local guy and you would know locally how we're doing in the St. Louis area and the Metro East. How are we faring?
Better. The numbers continue to decline. There's always delays in reporting over the weekend, just which portions of the state kind of report those things in. But we've continued to have a steady decline in number of admissions to hospitals and overall numbers of cases as well. We'll probably see a little ebb and flow in that. And of course, no one really knows the exact story in the future of what this whole spring break. There may be an uptick in cases as people sort of congregate and then come back home again. But, things have definitely improved overall. And as the vaccine effort continues to advance, all of that moves towards that goal that Dr. Fauci talks about of some sort of herd immunity to this.
So let's talk about Dr. Fauci's, comment there. He says we don't know how or when we'll get to herd immunity. Explain to us from your perspective, where do we need to go in the percentage of vaccinations or also exposures, people who have had it? What are the things, all the factors that combine to get us to herd immunity? And do you have a prediction or an estimation of when that could possibly occur?
Well, from a federal level, they're really pushing the vaccine effort. That's the thing that's going to get us there. But I do think you have to take into consideration the folks that have had the virus naturally. And so, in my opinion, it's sort of a combination of both of those things. To be honest, no one exactly knows where that number is. Historically, you talk about a 60 to 70% of a population once they've either been vaccinated or have had the virus, that you would see a drop in the transmission so much that the virus just didn't have a host to jump from one person to the next. So it's a little bit of a moving target, but we're following this data just gets followed so closely all the time, and it's just like the news, in the sense you have a 24-hour cycle of that you can see what the case numbers are doing. And so I believe that what we've seen over the past 2 to 3 months or so of this, roughly 70 to 80% drop in the number of cases is heading in that direction. Obviously, things have kind of leveled out across the country. You can look at it one way and say, well, it's leveled out. You can also say, well, it's dramatically better than it was 3 months ago. I just not exactly sure where this is going to go over the next 4 to 6 weeks, but I think that will be very telling. I believe now they're vaccinating about 2 to 2.5 million people a day, in conjunction with the number of people that have had the illness. And the relatively positive information that like we said, is that reinfection is very rare with this. I would say that we're inching in that direction. Would this be the variant's still a little bit of question mark in there of what that means? Are they more contagious? Are they more lethal? And I don't think anyone has a good handle on that yet. But we'll probably be able to make some more of a declaration probably in the next 4 to 6 weeks or so.
Dr. Hardeman, I asked you a question a couple weeks ago that a lot of people have asked me about in my personal life. So I just wanted to ask again, just to be sure that I'm sharing the information correctly. When you've had COVID, is it that you will always have it the same way? If you get reinfected at all, that you would have it similarly next time, or would it be better or worse, or does it follow a pattern?
It doesn't seem to follow a pattern. The documented cases, again, everyone sort of suspects that reinfection is a possibility with this, but the flip side of that is that there are actually some really good studies now showing that the risk of that is very, very low. In fact, a recent Danish study talked about it was less than 1%. It was higher in those over 65, but they weren't really looking at symptomatic cases. They were only looking at positive PCR tests on that. So it's difficult to know exactly what that truly means. So I think the moral of the story is it's very rare, which is great news, and it's a little unpredictable to know, but it would stand to reason that if you have some circulating immune response to that if you became re-exposed again, that your body could fight it off and that the response your course would be less significant the next time around.
Dr. Hardeman joining us right now, physician at Gateway ENT, urgent specialist as well. I want to encourage you to join us on our Facebook page at facebook.com/Annie Frey Show to comment a question that we're going to ask him in the next segment that he sticks with us. Your question for the doctor on Facebook and also the Annie Frey YouTube channel, whichever your preference is. There's a live chat on both, and we love to field your questions and ask them and get that medical response. We've heard that the 6-foot recommendation of social distancing is now 3 feet. Can you tell us just your estimation, the most important things, the highlights over the course of this year where we've been given advice? Most of the American people are willing to put their hands in the middle and do what's right for the masses, but there's so much conflicting information that, of course, it becomes another reason for us to segregate ourselves. 6 feet, now 3 feet, no masks, now wear masks, now wear 3 masks. Now get a vaccination so we can get back to normal, but you still have to social distance and wear masks. What are the important things that you want people to understand right now that they still need to do in order to contribute to an accelerated recovery from this thing?
Right. I mean, you nailed 3 of those big ones that have been sort of back and forth on that. And I would just throw one more in there is that, is this really transmissible off of inanimate objects or surfaces? And I think, we've learned now largely that that's not the case. But largely, most spread still takes place in some sort of super spreader event. I believe it's about 80% of cases that are picked up or from some event like that. This is spread largely through respiratory secretions. And so I think the key take-home point is personal hygiene. Don't go out if you're sick, especially if you're coughing or having symptoms where you potentially could aerosolize or pass droplets on to someone else. excellent hand washing, wear the mask if you're out in public, and certainly if you're coughing for your own source control like that. But there's a lot of things that we've kind of gone back and forth on. I think that one of the big ones that, we really generally now know is that it really doesn't sit on surfaces for long periods of time and transmit as well. So
do we know how long?
No, I don't know that I necessarily do know that, but it's not long. Let's put it that way. And it would take a pretty substantial level of exposure in the sense someone would have to cough on their hand, put it on something, someone else touch it, put it to their face, to have that, because it does take an exposure time and viral load to infect someone else as well.
Dr. Hardeman, in light of the CDC changing its social distancing recommendations, do you find that when you talk to patients that they really don't know who to trust, that they would like to trust the CDC, but these things kind of keep changing?
Absolutely. I think that's one of the things that contributes to some of the vaccine hesitancy out there is just the politicking of this. And, you find an expert you agree with and everything they say is golden. You find an expert that you disagree with and everything, you disagree with. So I think people are confused and are trying to find their own path through. There's always two sides to every story. And then we sort of see how it all plays out. But people are confused and puzzled. And I think some of that has to do with the fact that the recommendations have sort of changed like the wind at times.
Well, we're going to take a quick break right now. Dr. Hardeman is going to stay on hold with us because on the other side of the break, we're going to ask Dr. Scott Hardeman your questions. This is the opportunity during this quick commercial break that we're going to take for you to get on our Facebook page. Just go to facebook.com/Annie Frey Show and you'll see our Facebook Live going right there. And you'll see the live chat going on throughout the course of the show here every day from noon to 3. We do that. And then also, if you prefer YouTube, you can go to the Annie Frey YouTube channel. Also live there. You can also participate in the live chat and just put question for the doctor and we will ask your questions when we come back. If you have conflicting information, if there's something you want to know, if there's a situation that you want to understand better, now's your time for some free medical advice. So stick around. Dr. Scott Hardeman answering your coronavirus questions when we return.
It's good to be alive right about now. Good.
You're listening to the Annie Frey Show. Follow Annie on Twitter @AnnieFryShow.
You're listening to the Annie Frey Show live from the Air Comfort Service Heating and Cooling Studio. Get ready for spring with a maintenance agreement from Air Comfort Service. Visit their Facebook page each week in March to enter to win a free HVAC maintenance plan for a year. Visit aircomfortservice.com.
Find your perfect Mazda with significant savings from all 3 Bommarito Mazda locations. Over 500 new Mazdas to choose from in every color and style. Plus, every new Mazda has the Bommarito nationwide warranty, 10 years, 200,000 miles. Right now, buy a select 2020 or 2021 Mazda with 0% financing available. That's at all 3 Bommarito Mazda locations. Mazda, feel alive.
Hi, everybody. This is Sean Rimmerman, your host of We're Having a Senior Moment. Do you have a warm heart and a caring soul? Are you really devoted to being able to help others? Give us a call at Comfort Care 314-965-9600. Let us help you turn your dreams into reality as you help our friends, our families, and our clients live their best lives possible. Remember, 314-965-9600.
So when you go online and you go to igotfloored.com, that's the Michael's Flooring Outlet website, igotfloored.com. I just pulled it up myself. And here's a couple of things that immediately speak to me as somebody who is on the go. And I'm one of those people who, when I decide it's time to buy some flooring, I want to buy it the sooner the better. I am looking at this free in-home estimate schedule now button. So if you are interested in finding out what it's going to take to redo all of the flooring in your main floor, or maybe you just want to do your bedroom and you want to go from a carpet to a nice hardwood look, free in-home estimates when you go to igotfloored.com. And also a great selection of in-stock products ready for next day install. Are you kidding me? If you are looking for a flooring solution for your home, for your place of business, Michael's Flooring Outlet is the place to go. They are going to make sure that you are well taken care of, that the technology that goes into the flooring that's going to be in your home is going to stand the test of the circumstances that you're going to live on top of it or work on top of it. And they are going to make sure that you get the best value product for a top quality line. They have so many different types of flooring available to you, including when it comes to carpet, which I love carpet, and I'm looking forward to replacing the carpet upstairs in my home with some Mohawk Smart Strand flooring, all pet flooring, forever clean with all pet. That is speaking my language right now. You reach out to Michael's Flooring Outlet, you get the project done, and you get it done right. You can find them in St. Peter's, Darting Prairie, and Creve Coeur, online at igotfloored.com.
Need a break from the sound bites and the talking heads? Do you want information you can actually use? Information that'll change your life for the better? Then listen to the Del Walmsley Radio Show. Del will show you how to retire in 2 to 5 years. Your age doesn't matter. Turn off the pundits and turn on the passive income. Tune in to the Del Walmsley Radio Show.
Tune in to the Del Walmsley Show, where the hype ends and the help begins. Weeknights at 7 on 97.1 FM Talk.
Hey, it's Mark Reardon for Zero Res Carpet Cleaning, and Zero Res is coming along with the Mark Reardon Show over to 97.1 FM Talk to support me and my listeners, so that's exciting. If you have not heard about Zero Res and some of the special deals, let me get you on board right here, because your carpets are a mess right now. You probably haven't had them cleaned for a while. Certainly, if you haven't had them cleaned, this is the time to do it. Even if you do clean your carpets on a regular basis, think about the winter that we just experienced. A lot of gunk out there from that cold stretch, the salt, the other nastiness that probably came into your house, especially like I do. I have dogs. You just never know what they're bringing in. So let's do something about it with a great offer from my friends at Zero Res right now. 3 rooms of carpet, Zero Resified, starting at just $119. You got to do it right now. Take $50 off the air duct cleaning. Book today, 474-2020. You can also do it online. Make sure you mention the Mark Reardon KFTK special. 3 rooms starting at $119. 474-2020. ZeroResSTL.com. You spell it backwards or forwards, it spells the same. Zero Res.
Hi, this is Curtis Barks. I am the owner of Complete Auto Body and Repair, here to tell you about our touchless automotive service. If you're experiencing the constant struggles of having the kids home from school, or just want more of that family time where you can listen to them teach you about what they do every day, we provide touchless automotive service, return the vehicle to you clean and ready to go in the comfort of your own home. Check us out online at CompleteAB.com for more information. If it's not perfect, it's not complete. Others can't compete with Complete Auto Body.
Dad, and service.
Oh yeah, and service.
He fixes cars.
97.1 FM Talk is the place for ideas and discussion that's free and fair. Stay connected by downloading the radio.com app. It's all at 971talk.com.
Welcome back to the Andy Fry Show. Happy to have you along with us on another beautiful Monday afternoon here in St. Louis. We asked Dr. Hardeman to join us each Monday, and he's very gracious to give us quite a bit of his time. And we answer questions, some from Ryan and myself in the segment we just did. And then, of course, the most important part is we take your questions and pose them to the doctor here in this segment. You can share your question with us, and we get through as many as we possibly can here before the hour is over of the doctor. So if you want to comment a question to be asked, you can go to the Facebook page at facebook.com/Andy Fry Show, or the Andy Fry YouTube channel. We're live on both, and you can comment there, and we'll try to get them in. Here's the first one. Dr. Hardeman, thanks for holding on. We appreciate you being here with us, and these questions are some of our favorite part of the entire show. So here's the first one from Sharon on our Facebook page. Which of the current shots are licensed vaccines by the FDA?
Great question. And I think there's some terminology changes in vaccine right now. It's a little bit sketchy on the mRNA vaccines, if they're called vaccines or if they're, something a little bit different. I don't know that I can answer specifically based upon the definition. In practical sense, they're all vaccines, all 4 that are being talked about now, the Pfizer, Moderna, AstraZeneca, and J&J. But there is some nomenclature issues because the mRNA vaccines have changed how we think about vaccines in general in how they manage the genetic code of in this case, the spike protein.
So I'm glad that you said that, because I had a comment, and I'm trying to find it here in the inbox for the Andy Fry Show, from a listener who was concerned about whether or not the mRNA vaccines are actually technically vaccines. Is that a question that makes sense to you?
It is a question that I've heard and I've read about, and I'm not sure in the practical sense how, what that really means, because we're using them in the terms of vaccines and that we're stimulating our body to develop an immune response to something so that you don't become infected or transmit to other folks, and to lessen the severity of the illness if you were to get it. But because of this new concept of this mRNA idea, there is some changes in how we think about vaccines. And I'd heard, I haven't read it directly, but I'd heard that they've even changed the definition of vaccine to some degree. All of them still come with informed consent, and patients have to kind of evaluate that and what it means to them. And all of that, I think, comes into what we've been discussing, is just the vaccine hesitancy that people have based upon these sort of subtle changes that are taking place out there.
Dr. Scott Hardeman, physician at Gateway ENT and urgent specialist. Here's a question from Christopher on the Annie Fry Show Facebook page. What percentage better off are you if you are obese and you go lose weight for surviving COVID? Same question with heart disease. And why is no one talking about the latter that killed twice the people last year of the former?
I'm assuming that they're getting at the point of the question as to the comorbid issues and how those factor into poorer outcomes with this. I don't know that that's been exactly studied to that level, but the vast majority of people who have succumbed to this illness have had multiple other comorbid issues: obesity, diabetes, heart disease, other things, as they've mentioned. So specifically to that question, I don't know that there's an exact percentage to that, but it does factor in. And I think that's, it's an interesting discussion when we talk about things like vaccine mandates, that, if there is that edict that comes down that people have to be vaccinated, you can also take that one step further and say, from a public health perspective, do we start to look at some of those issues and what it really means as well?
Here's a question from Brad on the Annie Fry YouTube channel. Question for the doctor. Should those who have had COVID and recovered have any concerns about being vaccinated? I've seen some conflicting reports.
That's right. There are conflicting reports. I would say I've known folks on both sides of that argument who have had it before and had been through a series of shots and had absolutely no issues whatsoever. And then I've had some colleagues that have had the vaccine after COVID and have had a pretty substantial reaction, which kind of stands to reason that you would see a bit of more of an immune response if your immune system's already been sensitized to that. That seems to be, in fact, last night I stumbled across something that said that a large proportion of folks who've had more notable side effects, I would say, or a little bumpier of a course, muscle aches, back pain, a few things, tended to be in folks who previously had documented COVID as well.
Question for Dr. Scott Hardeman from Shelley on the Annie Fry Show Facebook page, which is streaming live all the time as we're on the show. Please ask if you already haven't, or if you've had COVID, do we need to get the vaccine?
Well, the party line is yes, and there are, I think, reasons for that, in that no one exactly knows how long the immunity lasts to this, or in theory lasts to this, but they're making a move, obviously, to try and get as many people vaccinated as possible. To some degree, it's because a lot of folks think they may have had it, and maybe it was more of just a symptom complex and never got tested, et cetera. So it does put a lot of question mark out there from a public health perspective to know, okay, well, which person should and which person shouldn't. And so the general position is that everyone be vaccinated, or at least folks that qualify for the vaccine. But is it wrong for folks who've maybe aren't in direct patient care issues, or putting themselves in a position where they're exposed to a lot of other people who've had coronavirus before, to drag their feet a little bit and sort of free up those vaccines for other folks? I think that's a very reasonable thing to look at. And a few weeks ago, we kind of had a similar discussion about that, as far as people taking a step back that have had the virus at least in the last 3 to 6 months or so, and freeing up some of that supply that's out there as well.
Yeah, and also the extent that you're the one who had brought this up to me. If there are 2 doses of a vaccine and somebody gets it, they get that first vaccine, you made a case for potentially vaccinating more public with the first dose of the vaccine before we rush to get that second dose in. Is there a time period where that second dose needs to be administered with the first dose? Otherwise, you maybe lost some ground there?
Well, let's put it this way. The studies here looked at the dosing intervals that we're currently with. That in the UK, they looked at a plan to try and extend the supply that they had to other people, and they looked at it out to 3 months and saw that there was no degradation in the immune response from that. So that's, I think, the data that I would tend to fall back on, is just to say that it looks like out to 3 months, you don't lose any immune priming of what happened with the first dose with that. But because this is all, so new, and it went right into that cycle of doing the 2-week to 3-week interval between the doses, I don't know that it's currently being looked at to a large degree. I know Dr. Fauci was probed about that and really didn't seem to have any interest in going down the path of delaying that second dose to expand more to more people. Now the supply is starting to really catch up. I mean, 2.5 million people a day is, in my mind, to a new vaccine like this is something that it's a pretty astronomical place where we are from that perspective, from where we were this time last year.
Yeah, a year into this is where we were in panic mode last year with
Right.
all questions, no answers. Here's another question from Chris on Facebook. Christopher on Facebook says, what's the latest on the AstraZeneca vaccine and clotting? And followed up by Jackie says, isn't the AstraZeneca producing a lot of problems in Europe? I know that the AstraZeneca vaccine is being is in discussion. I from what I understand, we have it here. We're just not using it. What's your opinion on this latest addition to the vaccine lineup?
Right. So it's being used or has been used for quite some time in Europe. And there were a couple of European countries that had paused or put a hold on utilization because of a potential clotting issue or development of something called DIC and some bleeding issues that can come as a result of that as well. That's still being evaluated, but AstraZeneca, just this morning, the news hits that the outcomes show but roughly 80% efficacy, and that the risk of any clotting issues are no different than the hit of that particular condition in the general population as well. So I think there was a little pause for concern or a reason for concern, but the more people who've gotten the vaccine, it looks, at least based upon the data that's available to this point, that it doesn't seem to be any more so than the norm in the population out there. So I think we'll see that vaccine apply for its emergency use and be put to the system relatively quickly here in the United States. And typically, based upon what we've seen with the other three that are out there, it takes about 4 to 6 weeks once the FDA has all the information before they would then pass an authorization at that point. And there'll be others shortly behind.
Well, this question comes from Joseph on Facebook. He says, I tested positive for COVID, but have not had any signs whatsoever, symptoms, I'm assuming he means. Am I susceptible to getting COVID again? Thank you.
Okay, so that's probably a fair bit to unpack there. I would question, what type of test was used. Was it a PCR test? Was it an antibody test? Or was it an antigen test? It probably wasn't an antibody test. It's most likely either a rapid antigen test or PCR test. And so in order to answer that completely, it would be wise for that person to consider having their antibodies checked. So they have a test that says that they had the virus. There are some false positives with those, so that they have, it does a question mark. When you're completely asymptomatic, you have nothing else to base that upon. So having antibody levels checked after that will be helpful 2, 3, maybe 4 weeks or so after that test was positive. And if you have an antibody response, and I would say you did have, an asymptomatic or a mildly symptomatic case of the virus, and in that case, you should have a pretty robust immune response to it.
I want to ask a question here from Jeff on our Facebook page. Says, please comment on, I'm going to say this wrong, parosmia post-COVID. Have you heard of this weird taste and smell that will not go away with certain foods? Sometimes it's a smoke smell, and sometimes it's a rotten, putrid smell.
Yeah. Parosmia is kind of the phrasing for that, and it's
that's why we have you on, Doctor.
So anosmia is the terminology we give to loss of sense of smell. Parosmia is sort of the alteration or a different sense of smell. Smoke is one of the most common ones. Something rotting, or eggs, the foul eggs kind of smell, the second and third type. So as a result of that, this is thought to be one of the more potential long-term issues associated with coronavirus. But many viruses lead to a loss of sense of smell, and subsequently your sense of taste tends to get blunted as a result of that. Most folks that have either anosmia or parosmia can still distinguish between the major portions of taste, sweet and salty and bitter, etc. But they lose that variety to it because the sense of smell factors into it so much. The vast majority of folks, over 70%, do tend to regain their sense of smell, which is great. There is a small percentage that don't, and there's a ton of intense research going on, at least in my specialty, in that right now, of what can be done about that. It's tricky because it seems to be related to some damage to some of the supporting cells around the smell nerves. And so it's not uncommon as you start to regain those senses that you'll start to get an alteration in things. And you can even go through some smell retraining where you sort of smell certain things that what it should be from prior to the loss, and sort of train your brain to recognize those things again.
Question from Larry for Dr. Scott Hardeman on Facebook. When it comes to the vaccine, they have me so mixed up on what, where, and when. I'm 70 years old and I have pretty bad COPD. So is the vaccine safe for me, or is the stuff going to kill me?
No, the vaccine's not going to kill you. I think that is the type of individual who should, above 65, we should really be putting a lot of our attention towards getting vaccinated first, in my opinion. So which one, we're still at a point where I think it's going to be what's available to you, whether that's one of the first two, the Pfizer or Moderna, or now the J&J. I would say, that individual, certainly have a conversation with their own physician of the ups and downs and pros and cons related to their exact health. But that type of individual over 65 with other health issues is someone we hope to protect most from the virus and its impact.
Dr. Hardeman, always a pleasure to have you in with us each Monday. And I would encourage people, if you missed any part of this interview with the doctor, you can go to radio.com, the app on your phone that you can download and rewind this. We started at 12:25, and we also post it on our podcast. Thank you so much for the information here. We get to as many questions as we can, and we're always appreciative of your insight.
Yeah, you bet. Have a good rest of your day.
You as well. That's Dr. Scott Hardeman, is a physician at Gateway ENT and urgent specialists. Our next expert coming up, Stephen Moore from FreedomWorks on the economy, in just a minute. Don't go away.
So lucky to be here. So safe and fortunate. We're well protected and cared for. When I look out over the breathtaking grounds, it feels like home. Those aren't my words. They're the words of current residents of the Gatesworth, the St. Louis region's premier senior living community. And when you listen, it's easy to understand why. The Gatesworth is now welcoming new residents and would love to get to know you. Call 314-993-0111 or visit them online at thegatesworth.com.
Spring is finally here, and you deserve an upgrade. There's no better way to upgrade than with a new Hyundai filled with all the latest technology, including the digital smartphone key. Save big on all our Hyundai models and get the upgrade you deserve only at the Hyundai Spring Upgrade event.
Sign and drive today and enjoy 0 down payment, 0 first payment, and 0 security deposit on the Tucson, Kona, or Sonata. See your local Hyundai dealer today. Offers end March 31st, 2021. Call 224-661-0068 for details.
The Closet Factory, which is locally owned right here in St. Louis, a homegrown business that started just the way all of these great American stories start, with somebody who had a dream and the ability and the know-how and the fortitude to try to start something like this here, has grown into a very successful, the go-to closet factory custom organization company in the area. They are doing some closets in my home, including my laundry room, and I want to encourage you to have the Closet Factory fairy godmothers and fairy godfathers, is that a word? It is now, come to your house and look at your problem areas and change your life. That seems drastic. It seems, a little extra. I understand that. But when they came to my home and then we were talking about kind of the domino effect, if I get this place organized, how that helps me organize the next place and the next place, 314-961-4300, invite them into your home. You'll be glad you did. ClosetFactory.com.
Home warranty. I know, right? Buying coverage for appliances, your heater and AC, etc., from a company that hopes you never ever have a claim or call. Let me introduce you to a real home warranty company, the kind that actually wants to help you. Upkeep Home Warranty and Maintenance. Upkeep visit your home 4 times a year to maintain your appliances and equipment. You will never get a lack of maintenance denial because Upkeep does the maintenance. Also nice, Upkeep assigns you one point person to help you. You won't be passed around like an office hot potato, and you won't get subcontractors. Upkeep does all their work, so there's no blame game. Just experts helping you. Visit upkeepstl.com today and type in 971 for $100 off. Don't be denied. Instead, be relieved. Upkeep Home Warranty and Maintenance, 636-387-7331.
Keep up your home with Upkeep. Keep up your home with Upkeep. Keep up your home with Upkeep, and you'll have a happy home.
KFTK FM Florissant, K254CR St. Louis, driven by the Bommarito Automotive Group, 97.1 FM Talk, a radio.com station.
We remain committed to transparency. I'm Pam Puso, Fox News. That from White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki, who says the Biden administration is working on granting the media access to facilities housing migrants along our southern border.
We understand we're working against a lot of push factors that are pushing people to come to the region, come to the border. But what we are conveying from our end is that The border is not open. The majority of people are turned away.
Psaki also says U.S. officials will ask authorities in Mexico and Guatemala to help stem the tide of migrants. Former President Trump, who spoke to Fox News exclusively today, called the situation a national disaster.
They're allowing everybody to walk through and just come in, and they're not taking anything. They have no information about the people.
President Biden has said he plans to travel to the border, but has not said when. When it comes to the fight against the coronavirus, the White House says we need to remain vigilant. This is still not over. Dr. Rochelle Walensky, the director of the CDC, says deaths are down across the country, but remain at elevated levels.
We also know that the trajectory of the pandemic varies across the United States, with some states and regions of the country, such as the Northeast and the Upper Midwest, are beginning to again see a significant rise in cases.
Dr. Walensky advised Americans against travel, saying it's not the time. Boston Marathon bomber Dzhokhar Tsarnaev had his death sentence wiped away last year by a federal appeals court, but the Supreme Court has agreed to review that decision.
Tsarnaev admitted to helping his brother set off 2 bombs at the Boston Marathon in 2013, killing 3 people and injuring hundreds more.
Fox's Rachel Sutherland, the court could hear the case in the fall. America's listening to Fox News.
How do you protect yourself from the new forms of the coronavirus? Here you go. Got a mask that fits good and snug? Perfect. Now, give your neighbors at least 6 feet of space and avoid crowds, because all that stuff still works too. Look, I'll definitely get my vaccine when it's my turn, but now isn't the time to let your guard or your mask down.
We can do this. Learn more at cdc.gov/coronavirus. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
I'm giving Jeb's Basement Renovations 1 star. He kept asking me what's behind the walls down there. I'm like, why? What do you know?
No matter how hard you work for your small business, online reviewers will find something to complain about.
And then he's like, you can trust me with the job. And I'm all like, trust?
And while Progressive can't save you from these trolls, we can help you save money on commercial, auto, and business insurance.
Yeah, he charged me less than he said he would, which is lying.
Get a quote online today at progressivecommercial.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliated and third-party insurers.
Air Comfort Service Heating and Cooling Weather with Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
Our next weather system is on the way, and that's why the clouds will continue to increase as we go through the afternoon. But we're dry. Windy, 65 for the high. Tonight, cloudy, windy. The evening's dry, increasing showers well after midnight tonight. 53 for the mild low. On Tuesday, periods of rain showers, maybe a rumble of thunder, non-severe. Windy, 63 on Tuesday. This is 97.1 FM Talk. Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
It's time for a redistribution of wealth. Mark Cox style, Bernie. $1,000 is on the line. Want to win?
This hour's keyword is happy. Text the word happy to 72881 by the end of the hour for your chance to win $1,000. That's happy to 72881. Message and data rates apply. Don't text and drive. This is a national contest. Again, that word is happy.
Hi, this is Lance Drury. If you have payroll tax problems, you have serious legal problems, you need an attorney. Call 314-260-6120 or toll free 888-367-6512 or visit LanceDruryLaw.com.
Spring is a great time to upgrade the energy efficiency in your home with new windows. Mark Cox here from my friends at Window World. I'm a satisfied customer. You will be too. Call them today for a free home estimate. They'll show you why they are simply the best for less. Window World windows are so durable. They stand behind their windows with a lifetime warranty that covers all parts and glass breakage and labor. They were ranked #1 in windows sold in the country by Qualified Remodeler magazine, and they're the preferred window of the St. Louis Blues. Window World does great work, as they did in my home when they replaced 2 large bathroom windows. They measured them, they built them, and got them installed in no time. You will love working with my friends over at Window World. They're now offering 18 months, same as cash financing with approved credit. Call them today at 314-993-1800, 993-1800, or windowworld.com.
You've been listening to the very popular Wellness 101 for many years, Sundays on 97.1 FM Talk. We're happy to share that we've expanded the show to 3 times a week. Yes, 3 times every weekend. Saturday at 8 p.m., Sunday at 9 a.m., and Sunday at 2 p.m. It's the same great show designed to cut through the nonsense and provide you a common-sense, science-based strategy for a healthy life. So join TJ and Aaron for Wellness 101, now 3 times a week on 97.1 FM Talk.
Getting a haircut and going somewhere that you can trust to cut your hair right the first time, every time, is so important, especially when you're busy. You want to be able to make an appointment, you want to get in and you want to get out. Hair Saloon is a place you can go that you can trust. They're going to give you a perfect haircut every single time. And they also have they've worked extremely hard to make sure that they have the best staff there ready to cut your hair, that are going to make sure that you are attended to fully. Then their slogan is Hair Saloon believes men deserve better. That's why the haircut comes with a relaxing shampoo. It comes with a complimentary beverage. It comes with a hot towel and mint, a complimentary shoe shine, and an array of different haircuts that you can get each time you come in. And they offer a 25% discount on services all day, every day, for veterans, active duty military, and first responders. They know that they have the opportunity to honor these very, very important people in our community, and they take the opportunity to do that. If you are looking for a haircut, I want you to go to their website, and you can see all of the different locations. There is one near you, I promise, and find the one you want to go to and make an appointment. It's online at hairsaloon.com.
Whether you're an experienced sports bettor or someone who's just starting out, BetQL is here to help us become better bettors. Get access to data and insights the sportsbooks don't want you to see. Bet smarter and beat the books. Download the BetQL app or visit BetQL.com today.
You can stop the radio anytime and rewind. Just visit 971talk.com and click listen. Or download the radio.com app. 97.1 FM Talk. The Annie Fry Show is sponsored by Forensic IT, the tech experts that find the root cause of your technical problems. ForensicIT.com.
That is exactly what I needed to hear.
Thank God someone here knows what they're talking about.
That's us. That's right. Gotta love this American ride.
You need to take the time and get the full picture.
Come on, turn the radio on. It's Saturday and I won't be long.
Don't get me wrong, I love the ladies. I mean, they rev my engine, but they don't belong in the newsroom. It is Anchor Man, not Anchor Lady.
What do you want from me? I'm not America's sweetheart.
Goodness sake, kid. Keep your voice down. Your father's listening to the radio.
I'm not America's sweetheart.
This is the Annie Fry Show.
I'm not saying this is going to be easy, George, but I do believe there's enough Republicans over time who are going to have, look,
they haven't had that epiphany you said you were going to see in the campaign.
No, well, I've only been here 6 weeks, pal. Okay, give me a break. Been here 6 weeks. I think the epiphany is going to come between now and 2022.
Well, for President Biden, respectfully, you've been there 6 weeks. Give the American people a break. My heavens. I would like to ask Stephen Moore, the senior economic contributor at FreedomWorks, in a mere 6 weeks' time in President Biden's terms, pal, how much has he been able to do to affect the American people through his administration and the Congress that has Democratic control in both chambers?
Well, hi, Annie. Good to be with you. He's done a lot. I mean, it's all been, in my opinion, almost all negative. I think this $1.9 trillion debt bomb bill is going to come back and haunt the country. I mean, everybody loves the idea of getting a free check from the government, but, bills have to be paid, debts have to be paid. And now we're learning that with this new $2 trillion tax hike that's going to be announced either this week or next week, with huge increases in taxes on American employers, small businesses, corporations, savers, investors. Everybody's going to get clobbered. And I don't believe for 1 minute, Annie, this idea that only people who make over $400,000 are going to get taxed. Now they're talking about a major energy tax that would affect. And I guess if you drive a car, if you have a home or an apartment that has air conditioning or heating, I guess you're considered rich by Biden. But look, I think the good news is we've got the vaccine rollout that's going pretty well. It started obviously under Trump. I love the fact that Biden is and I said on your show, don't be surprised if Biden starts taking credit for the vaccine. Of course, he's doing that. But look, I'm really so disappointed in Joe Biden. I really thought there was a chance he might really be a true, centrist Democrat. Remember, said, I'm not Bernie Sanders. It's my party now. Well, sure looks to me like it's the Bernie Sanders agenda.
Stephen Moore, I think you've also said on this program that you expect this year to actually be a pretty good economic year.
Yeah.
Maybe because there's so much money flowing right now. But are these policies, especially the tax hikes you just mentioned, does that threaten the economic recovery that may even eat into this year?
Yeah, but I don't think the damage, I think most of those taxes would start being levied in 2022. So I think that's when you're going to start to see the real damage. I do think this year, is going to be good, strong. In the second half of this year, we're going to see businesses reopening. Schools are all starting to reopen, and except for a few states like California and New York, you're seeing churches and playgrounds and parks open and people going out more. And so that's going to be really positive for the economy. So, yeah, I'm going to stick with my prediction that the next 6 months is going to be, very strong. But then by about this time next year, I think we're going to feel the hangover effect, the effect, oh, yeah, we had the binge in spending, and now we have to start paying those bills. And that's when I think you start to see some real problems. I'm worried about things like inflation. I'm worried about the gas price. I don't know if it's going up there in Missouri, but it's really, every time I go to the gas pump now, I go about once a week, higher and higher gas prices. That's a pretty good lead indicator of inflation.
Let's talk about gas prices specifically. You just sent me in a different direction because I hear so much and see so much conversation about this. People want to blame Biden. People want to protect Biden for gas prices. What is causing? Is it because the weather is getting warmer and people are traveling more, and this is a natural increase in gas prices? Why are they higher?
Well, I think all of the above. I mean, it is true. People are traveling more and using more gasoline. And when you increase the demand for something, its price goes up. You're also seeing businesses starting to reopen and factories, so they'll use more energy. So that's partly true. And that's, that's a good reason for energy prices to rise, that we're actually getting production up. Yeah. But the fact is that at the same time, we're cutting the supply, right? I mean, Biden isn't building the pipelines we need. We desperately need pipelines, not just Keystone, that's a central one, but we need pipelines all over this country so we can get the oil and gas from up in, in the Dakotas and Alberta, Canada, and Oklahoma to other parts of the country. And we don't have that infrastructure now, and Biden's basically not building it. So that makes us more dependent on the foreign oil and gas. We need drilling. Biden has basically said a virtual moratorium on new drilling on federal lands. And we have trillions of dollars of oil and gas under federal lands. This is a president, and I'm not saying anything that he wouldn't say. He hates the oil and gas and coal industry. He hates them. He hates fossil fuels because the left hates fossil fuels. And, we have more oil, gas, coal than any other country in the world. So I say we should use all our energy. We should use our oil, our gas, our coal, our nuclear, our wind, our solar, our hydropower, whatever we can use that can produce reliable and affordable energy. But I'm afraid we're moving in the wrong direction on that. And by the way, 80% of our energy today comes from fossil fuels. Is there anybody who thinks we're going to go from 80% to zero? That would cause an economic catastrophe.
Yeah, unfortunately, the people who think that are running the government right now.
Exactly. The only people who are that stupid are the people in the White House.
That's terrible. Stephen Moore joining us right now as a senior economic contributor at FreedomWorks. I wanted to give you the opportunity to tie these things together, and that's the perfect segue for it. I don't know if you heard President Trump on with Harris Faulkner earlier today. They're talking a lot about immigration, but President Trump also commented that, much to your dismay as well, saying you thought he would be somewhat moderate. Trump said that that Biden is Bernie Sanders on steroids. When you put together the economic concerns with the energy concerns that we're facing right now as a country, what's your thought about that? Do you agree? Bernie Sanders on steroids?
Yeah, I do. I really do. And, I think that it's really demoralizing. I know a lot of people, Annie, who are, who really didn't like Donald Trump's behavior. They liked the economy. They just didn't like the way he acted and some of the things he said. And I don't always approve of the things he said and did, but I love what he did for the economy. And I think a lot of people thought, well, this will be lunch bucket Joe, right? He'll be pro-American worker, and we'll have a lot of the same kind of moderate policies, but we won't have this troublemaker in the White House. Well, no, we didn't get a moderate president. This is a far, far left wing president. I mean, I would have never imagined another $1.9 trillion of unnecessary spending on top of the $1 trillion that's already in the pipeline coming into the economy. Who in the world is against voter ID cards? I mean, what rational person is against, that you have to show an ID before you vote? I have to show an ID virtually for everything I do now.
Right.
And if I want to get on an airplane, I have to show my ID. If I want to, use my credit card, I have to show my ID. I have to use IDs all the time, everywhere. And yet they're saying the only thing you don't have to show ID for is to vote. Another example, who's for, I mean, come on, what rational person is against building pipelines in this country? What rational person is for getting rid of right to work laws in 27 states? That's something that's been a hallmark of states like Missouri and other states that allows workers to have the right to choose whether they want to join a union or not. What rational person says it's smart to raise America's corporate tax rate to the highest in the world again? I mean, why would we do that? That's like economic suicide to do that. So I can't really explain this except for the fact that, you just played that clip at the top of the show from Bernie Sanders saying we're going to have a radical redistribution of income. And I think that's what they're trying to do, a radical redistribution of income, like they did in Russia, like they've done in Venezuela, like they did in Cuba, like they did in all of China. All of these countries are based on this idea of equality. And, when you put in place these equality programs, folks, what you get is everybody becomes equally poor.
Stephen Moore, senior economic contributor, Freedom Works. They've got 2 years to accomplish this. I mean, do you think they can do it, assuming that Republicans take back one chamber of Congress? Do you think how much damage can they do in 2 years?
I'm just sighing when you say that, because I would have thought, they'd never be able to get any of this stuff done. I mean, it's so radical. This is America, for goodness sakes, the land of the free. But so if you'd asked me that question 6-8 weeks ago, I said they're not going to be able to get all this stuff done. But they are changing the rules, right? This is what radicals do. They change the rules so they can get, their policies passed. So, they want to change the voting rules. They want to change the filibuster rules in the Senate. Which, this has been a tradition for, since the birth of our country, that we have checks and balances in this country, that we have federalism, that we have 3 levels of government, that it's not just majority rule. You have all sorts of constraints to protect the rights of the minority. That's one of the hallmarks of our federalist republic that we have. And I feel like they're just using a steamroller, to use the word the Wall Street Journal used last week. It's like a steamroller, and they're just going to just steamroller right over us, anyone who objects to their agenda. I'm very saddened by the fact that show me one moderate. Is there one moderate Democrat left in the entire party?
Don't know their name.
Can you point to one?
Yeah,
what?
It's hard to find. I said they don't make the news.
No, I mean there isn't. Yeah. We thought it might be Manchin in West Virginia, but he's voted for all of this stuff. I mean, he talks a good game, but they could not have passed that $1.9 trillion absurd bill if even a few Democrats had objected to it. But they're all like those, Korean soldiers that are marching down in front of, President Kim in South Korea. They're just like mechanical soldiers. And it pains me to say this, because when I first came to Washington in the mid-1980s, there were real, moderate, sensible, centrist Democrats. I mean, Bill Clinton was a moderate, centrist Democrat. JFK wouldn't even be allowed. He'd be laughed out of the Democratic Party today.
Mm-hmm. It is a drastic departure from the moderate, the middle of the lane here, and it's hard to find anybody willing to stand up for it, because the other voices are so loud in the room right now. It would be great to see somebody stand up. I think that they would find themselves a lot of support, bipartisan support.
I think they would too.
Point. Stephen,
yeah, look, I mean, Biden's saying, "Oh, we want to do this stuff in a bipartisan way," but that means is that we all just genuflect and we just completely surrender our ideals. That's not compromise. That is a surrender, right?
Yep. We appreciate you being here each week on Monday. You have great insight and great information, and we welcome you back again next week. Thank you so much, Stephen.
Okay.
Great to speak with you again.
Thanks, Annie. Talk to you then. Bye.
Yep. Senior economic contributor at FreedomWorks there, Stephen Moore. In about 20 minutes, we're going to be speaking with Griff Jenkens, who was reporting just a couple hours ago from Tijuana, Mexico. Listen to this report here.
I am in El Paso, but the surge is so bad in the Rio Grande Valley sector. The RGV, it's ground zero for President Biden's border crisis. I've just learned in the last few minutes that a senior source with CBP tells me that the RGV sector is considering beginning very soon, if not effective immediately, releasing illegal crossing migrants without issuing them that notice to appear after they claim asylum.
So we're going to allow them to cross. If they are detained in any capacity, we're just going to release them into country without any sort of notice to appear. Are you kidding me right now? 314-241-9797. I would love to hear what you think about this before we speak with Griff Jenkens. At about 1:42, he is the Fox News correspondent on the scene right now. He's seeing this with his own eyes. He's talking to the real people who are looking to cross the border and get into the United States. He has facts, and he is going to give them to us at 1:40. And we're going to follow that up at 2 o'clock with Mark Krikorian, who is the executive director at the Center for Immigration Studies. We're going to talk about how do we get to this point and what can be done to stop it. So we're going to hear the facts from Griff Jenkens at 1:40, and we're going to hear the opinion on what direction we need to head at about 2:10. So stick around. Your phone calls when we come back.
You're listening to The Annie Fry Show. Find the podcast, on-demand audio, and more at 971talk.com/Annie.
Tune in to Right at Home with Rich every Saturday from noon to 1 p.m. This Mosby Building Arts Home Show covers topics ranging from design and architecture to remodeling and home maintenance. For answers to all of your home questions, don't miss Right at Home with Rich, brought to you by Mosby Building Arts.
Remember that mammogram you postponed? The colonoscopy? Your yearly physical? Now's the time to get it done. Mercy is ready for you with COVID-19 safety precautions in place at all hospitals and clinics. So let's take care of that emergency, that achy hip, or follow up with your specialist. See how to come back safely and schedule your visit at mercy.net/comeback. Go to mercy.net/comeback. At Mercy, your safety is our life's work.
So if you're looking for a dentist right now, if you don't love the one you have, or if you haven't gone for a while, that's the case for a lot of people. Let's just be honest. Foley Dental Group is accepting new patients right now. It's where I go to the dentist and where I would encourage you to check out for a whole array of reasons. First of all, and the most important, is the amazing dentistry care that you are going to receive from Dr. Andrea Foley, from Dr. Freeman, from Dr. Amran, from Dr. Costin. These are experts who know how to do dentistry in an atmosphere that's going to make you comfortable when you arrive. I can speak firsthand. I've had fillings taken care of at Foley Dental Group, and they are top notch with the care they provide and the comfort that they provide. They have Netflix at every chair, massage chairs, crowns in one day. They have the ability to take care of what you need in an atmosphere that's going to make you comfortable while you get it, which if comfort and dentist don't belong in the same sentence for you, I challenge you to call Foley Dental Group and prove me wrong. I love them, and I'm looking forward to connecting you with them as well. 618-288-9670. That's 618-288-9670. Accepting new patients right now. Mention the Annie Fry Show when you call. Located in Maryville, Illinois. Online, though, at FoleyDentalGroup.com.
Everybody wants the economy to grow, right? But how do you feel about officials in effect giving your tax money to developers for their private projects? In the past 15 years, the city of St. Louis alone has diverted $709 million to developers in tax subsidies or abatements. That was money that would have gone to basic services like schools and public safety. Even worse, numerous studies around the country show these kinds of subsidies don't produce the promised jobs and growth. There's nothing wrong with developers wanting to build new shopping centers or company headquarters, but why should they get tax subsidies to do so? If it's a good business idea, great, but let them assume the risks as well as any possible rewards. It's time to reform economic development subsidies in Missouri. Learn more in our 2021 Missouri Blueprint, moving Missouri forward at showmeinstitute.org. The Show Me Minute has been brought to you by Show Me Institute and Show Me Opportunity.
Bomarito, Missouri's #1 automotive group, has the largest selection of pre-owned vehicles. All makes, models, and price ranges. Plus, every vehicle up to 100,000 miles includes the most comprehensive warranty in the market. Motor Trend certified vehicles powered by Bomarito. Buy a pre-owned vehicle worry-free with peace of mind. The best backed pre-owned vehicles in America are Motor Trend certified vehicles powered by Bomarito. Now at every Bomarito location or 24/7 at Bomarito.com.
If your home's exterior is ready for a makeover, now is the perfect time to call Banner Construction to be first in line for this spring. They engineer their projects to provide reliable, lifelong solutions. And combined with their craftsmanship, will help you own the best-looking home in your neighborhood. Banner Construction is an elite preferred James Hardy and Pella certified contractor. Call today for your best winter pricing. 314-569-1050 and have a banner day.
The St. Louis LDA's online auction is on. Bid on great sports memorabilia that would make the perfect addition to your man cave or she shed. Your bids will make a difference and help local children, parents, and educators reach for the stars. Find out more about what the St. Louis Learning Disabilities Association does and how you can support them and place a bid on some of St. Louis sports history. Visit ldastl.org for details. That's ldastl.org.
At your house, you're the ruler of the thermostat. And Ameren Missouri is giving you the power to save with a $0 smart thermostat while supplies last. Find terms at AmerenMissouri.com/save now. Taxes and enrollment and peak time savings apply.
Information to keep you moving. Dependable traffic driven by Ambassador Midwest Floor Company. The best way to deal with in-home traffic. Experience more at Ambassador Midwest Floor.
July, it's only been a month since I met you. I gotta say that was my favorite June, and I knew from that night that I would be alright if I only knew that one day I would find.
We were there when a bus of
like
56 asylum seekers arrived at Casa Alitas, a Catholic charity shelter in Tucson. Men, pregnant women, and children stepping off the bus with only what they could carry. This father, who asked that we not show his face, traveled to Mexico from Brazil with his wife and 3 young kids before crossing the border. Would you have tried to do this when Donald Trump was president?
Definitely not. Definitely. We had the chance, the same violence that is going on today was there last year. We used to watch the news, and I definitely won't do this.
So did you come here because Joe Biden was elected president?
Basically.
I cannot even, it's hard to formulate a sentence thinking about if that would have been reversed and there'd be something that incriminating floating out there in the media regarding President Trump. Like, we did this because Trump was president. When it comes to an influx of people on our southern border who we can't contain, and we're doing everything we can to roll out a carpet for them. It's pretty insane. I'm looking at a story right now. Katie, do you have, I wish you were younger, Katie, because I'm looking at this Miami Beach spring break and I'm like, tell me about, you don't know, you're too old for spring break.
But
right
I do know it's wild and out.
Miami Beach spring break arrests top 1,000 officials say. This is from Fox News. Crowds are congregating in South Florida by the thousands. Would that not be? Crowds are formulating at the southern border in Mexico by the thousands. Isn't it the same thing? Except for one of these groups is actually people who are in this country and live in this country and are, breaking or following American laws as citizens here. The spring break arrest total in Miami Beach has now surpassed 1,000 following days of unrest, with many people coming from out of state, quote, to engage in lawlessness and anything goes party attitude. That's like a marketing campaign right there.
Yeah.
Come to Miami Beach and engage in lawlessness and anything goes party attitude. That's what my dad thought was going on in spring break all the time. There was no element of, oh, Annie, you want to go to spring break and engage in lawfulness and a very moderated and respectful Christian fun in Miami Beach, sure, you can go, Andy. That sounds right up your alley.
You're just going to hang out in the hotel room all day? That's it? Okay.
Yeah.
Have fun.
The updated figures come as officials also voted to extend curfews and closures at the popular tourist destination through April 12th. Now, we've heard from the CDC at the beginning of the show, the news report says CDC says now is not the time to travel. And Pete Buttigieg, Mr. Secretary Buttigieg, has told you that you should not be traveling for no reason. Okay, Pete, I hear you. But I'm still going to travel if I want to, because as far as I can tell, it's legal to do so. And if I want to engage in that, since it's legal, I will commence in traveling. However, the people who are coming across the southern border and who are traveling illegally and coming into the country at a rate with which it's so astronomical, we can't even process them with court dates before we release them into the country and say, oh, on the way out, by the way, would you please, at your leisure, stop by an ICE office and ask for a court date? We'd really appreciate it. What? This is insanity. Meanwhile, all of the college kids who have always been engaging in lawlessness and an anything goes attitude in Miami Beach, every spring break since spring breaks have existed, that's what's going on. And I know this because I remember watching She's All That, and they would show the spring break in the movie She's All That with Freddie Prinze Jr. and Matthew Lillard and all of those other ones. That's how I knew it went on spring break. My spring breaks in college were going to Florida, but I went to Jupiter, Florida, and I watched Cardinals baseball at spring training.
I had many girlfriends go to spring break. I never went. I didn't want to fork over the money because I'm a penny pincher, but a lot of my roommates and my friends, they went to spring break and partied their buns off. And that was 4 or 5 years ago.
Pre-COVID.
Yes.
And I guarantee you there were viruses being spread around down there at the time.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
There are things, the souvenirs that you would bring home from spring break that you did not intend to. And that's on you. And if you're going to be irresponsible, if you're not going to respect yourself and those around you, then these are consequences of people's actions that then we had the right to make bad decisions, right? Isn't risk part of what we do in America? When you have freedom, you get to take risks that could allow you great success. Massive failure. Your massive failure doesn't end you. It doesn't put you away. Well, I mean, I guess some massive failures could put you away technically, but you still have the opportunity to make choices and to engage in those choices and also pay the consequences of those choices. Now the government is stepping in with COVID and not a lot of science, which is really the mind-blowing thing here, to tell you what you can and can't do because of the risk factor that's involved. I've seen, I think it was Joy Reid on Twitter. It's the only way that I would see this. There's a picture of Miami Beach and just a whole bunch of people crowded together. She's like, this looks like an actual Petri dish. I thought that 5 years ago. I thought that 10 years ago. It's always looked like a Petri dish. Go back to the Lake of the Ozarks. Was that in like June of last year? Maybe it was even May. And there was the bar who had the pool and the alcohol was flowing, and there were 2 cases to my recollection that came out, 2 COVID cases to my recollection that came out of that. It got global attention. There were European stories that were being broadcast about what took place in our little old Lake of the Ozarks, minding our own business in the woods. It's what we do in the middle of the country. We have some fun. It's not anybody else's business. It became a global story. And both of the people who came after that, who had contracted COVID, it wasn't even really connected with the fact that they were there. It was not a super spreader event that they desperately wanted and needed it to be, so that they could take that example and a year later say, hey, you moron Gen Zers that are, it's not, they're not millennials. Millennials are older now, and in some cases we're okay with that. When you look at what's going on in Miami Beach and these people are outside and they're not social distancing, not even 3 feet, even though they have now been given an extra 3 feet to be closer to each other. You stitch together all of these, hands on the sides of the faces, Macaulay Culkin like screaming moments where you see these things and you go into a panic because of what's about to happen. The follow-up story of what happened never happens. We don't have the super spreader events at these types of situations that they are desperately reporting on the fear that they're trying to instill into you to keep you from doing these things. It turns out that the actual super spreader events, if they occur, are more personal gatherings, weddings, maybe, indoor parties of some sort where people may feel more comfortable with each other and let their guard down a little bit more, but they're also often indoors. Tampa Bay, Super Bowl, super spreader event, got the mayor saying they were going to go after people who weren't wearing masks. Then she gets busted for not wearing a mask as they show a photo of her from the day before in her suite not wearing a mask. And that story just kind of went away. I wonder why that was. I have to connect the dots for myself. It's so obvious to people like you and me what's going on here. And I have to say, got over it. And as much as Miami Beach looks like people are having fun, it's not the kind of fun that I would want to have because, like I said, that was ew for me like a decade ago.
Yeah,
it continues to be ew. But it's not something that I'm looking forward to, which is why I'm excited to talk to Griff Jenkens here in a minute, who is the Fox News correspondent who is on the border and has been reporting from the border all this morning, is going to call us in about 7 minutes here and report about the crowds of people that are coming. And what kind of process are they going through? What kind of processes are we having to let go by the wayside because we can't retain the capacity that we need to process all these people that are coming into our country? And if the CDC says now is not the time to travel, is anybody telling? Is anybody telling the people who are on this journey to our border, now is not the time to travel? Or worst case scenario, is the Biden administration, if you listen to that clip here at the beginning, is the Biden administration saying, now is the best time to travel here? You better hurry. I don't know how much I'm going to get away with. It's shocking. It's really, really shocking to see. Ryan, did you want to say something before we break?
Well, it doesn't surprise me that you, Annie, were not a huge spring breaker. It does surprise me that Katie wasn't, though.
Yeah, spring break was not my thing. The big thing is that there's a lot of single people going to spring break. There's a lot of, and at the time my friends were going, they were a bunch of single ladies and they wanted to have a good old time. And there were a bunch of single men, and David and I were like, not our thing. That seems like trouble.
So you should have said, let's just social distance 3 feet.
Of course.
3 feet is plenty. You can keep a lot of things from happening if you socially distance at 3 feet. I'm going to try that with my kids and see how that works when it gets to be the time. We're going to speak with Griff Jenkens when we come back. He is the Fox News correspondent who is at the southern border covering this live, and he will be with the Annie Fry Show in just a minute. Don't go away.
You make me better, whatever it takes. I'm here forever.
The Annie Fry Show is streaming online. Watch us live on YouTube and subscribe.
As long as I'm with you, I'm okay.
Baby, I'm all in it. Just tell me you are on.
You're listening to the Annie Fry Show live from the Air Comfort Service Heating and Cooling Studio. Get in your comfort zone with 0% financing for 72 months and double Carrier Cool Cash rebates on qualifying equipment when you purchase and install a new HVAC system. For details, visit aircomfortservice.com.
Mark Cox here. Guys, let Victory Men's Health help you regain your vitality by optimizing your hormones, vitamins, and sexual health. Victory Men's Health has the most cutting-edge technologies to treat ED. They have wave therapy. Listen, this is the biggest advancement for men with ED since the launch of Viagra. That's pretty incredible. They do the treatments in their office. Victory Men's Health offers wave therapy in both their Illinois and Missouri location. Check them out online today at victorymenshealth.com.
Are you in the market for a new vehicle? If you are, I understand there are a whole lot of ways that you can shop for that new vehicle, especially where most vehicle searches start is online, right? You go to a website, you type in what you want, and then you figure out how far you're going to have to drive to get what you want for the price you want. Have you ever driven that far and gotten there and like, oh, I'm sorry, we can't offer you this price, but let me show you this vehicle over here? That's really annoying. When you go to Cassens, and you can go online to their website right now at cassenscan.com, the one thing that I can tell you about them from absolute personal experience on multiple occasions is my purchases with Cassens have been incredibly respectful, where they've listened to our budget and they've worked with us to make sure that when we walk away from that purchase, we are happy with the vehicle we bought and the purchase price that we got it for. They aren't going to blow a lot of smoke at you. They are going to respect you. They are going to accommodate you. They're also going to follow up with you. They have an amazing service department, which we have used multiple times, for basic things like oil changes and tire rotations, but also recently for the scratch that was down my car. They did a great job fixing that up. Looks as good as new. If you are in the market for Cassens or for a car, I want you to check out Cassens, because they're going to treat you right, and you're going to be a repeat buyer there as well. You can find them online at cassenscan.com.
We're going to be okay. I've seen what the human spirit can do. The staff helped me stay connected and try new things. I only wish I'd come here sooner. Those aren't my words. Those are the wise words of current residents of the Gatesworth, a vibrant senior living community and a St. Louis tradition for over 30 years. The Gatesworth is now welcoming new residents and would love to get to know you. Call 314-993-0111 or visit them online at thegatesworth.com.
If you own a house and want to sell it fast at a fair price, Chris Buys Homes in St. Louis can pay you cash and close in as little as 5 days. Chris Buys Homes in St. Louis is your most trusted home buyer. We buy houses in any condition, any price range, and in any location in the St. Louis metro. Call 314-782-7000. Chris Buys Homes in St. Louis buys inherited houses, divorce houses, behind in payment houses, and even those my tenant won't pay me the rent houses. Do you own a house that is trashed and needs thousands of dollars in repairs? Call Chris Buys Homes in St. Louis today. Vacant houses, abandoned houses, condemned houses, and foreclosure houses. If you own a house and want to sell it fast, get a cash offer in just 7 minutes. Call Chris Buys Homes in St. Louis at 314-782-7000. That's 314-782-7000. 314-782-7000.
A reading from the Golden Oak Lending Book of Mortgage Lingo.
What is a cash out refi? It's using the equity in your home to pay off high interest credit cards. Paid it off! Yes! I'm James Hawkins, president of Golden Oak Lending. With mortgage rates at a record low 1.875%, you can save hundreds each month and skip your next 2 payments. You'll pay nothing out of pocket, and we never charge for a home appraisal if we can't close your loan. And remember, our local lending experts speak mortgage and love translating for our customers. Eliminating debt means putting your dreams back on the table today.
Updated bathroom?
Updated bathroom and a pool table?
Don't push it, Rick.
Get started with our fast and easy Zipline tool at goldenoaklending.com.
NMLS 114937, 1.875% fixed, 2.913% APR. FHA 15-year mortgage with 20% equity and approved credit. 111 Westport Plaza, St. Louis, Missouri.
Afternoons on 97.1 start with the Annie Fry Show from noon to 3. And March 29th, the Mark Reardon Show 3 to 6.
Followed by a Dave Glover Show highlight hour at 6.
It's all on the #1 talk station in St. Louis, 97.1 FM Talk.
Don't think I've ever seen your kind of pretty. Wandering around this
Are you thinking of going to the border?
At some point I will, yes.
You want to see firsthand what's going on in those facilities?
I know what's going on in those facilities.
So Joe Biden's saying there, under our favorite place to hear sound from the president, under a helicopter, Joe Biden's saying that he at some point will go visit the southern border, but he does say he is aware of what is taking place there. Well, somebody who has firsthand experience at the southern border right now is Griff Jenkens. He is the Fox News correspondent who has been reporting a firsthand account of what this country is experiencing now on our southern borders with us now. Griff, thank you so much for the time today. We really appreciate it.
Hey, Annie, thank you for having me. I love joining you. I started my career in talk radio back in the 90s when I was running Ollie North's radio show. My heart will always be behind a radio board like your associate producer, Kate. And anytime anyone wants to hear from me on the radio, I'll dial in, and it's an honor to join you today. And, I'm glad you did, because for your listeners, I've been for 17 straight days. I went down to Brownsville and McAllen, Texas, 17 days ago now to simply just do a day or two reporting, because I said, hey guys, 2 years ago I followed a caravan for about 3 weeks, and now I think this is going to be a big story. 17 days later, here I am. I've been in Matamoros to Ciudad Juarez, and I'm standing in Tijuana talking to you now. So I've literally covered all 2,000 miles of the border on both sides.
That is amazing. And I got to say that you've just tickled the producer of the show, Katie Pink, to say that you are accessible to her, because it's difficult to get great guests. And in fact, she was very excited. I was very excited to have you here. Listening to President Biden say that he has been at that he will at some point be at the southern border, and in the same voice saying that he does know what's going on there, makes me a little concerned that if he knows what's going on down there, according to your reports, it's getting more and more out of control. If he knows what's going on there, it'd be nice to see him do a little bit more regarding the situation. What's the latest that you can report for us?
Well, it's getting worse, Annie, and the president should come down. I mean, I was talking on the air just a little while ago with John Roberts and Sandra Smith, saying it's hard to imagine that the administration didn't have some sort of insight into what would happen. DHS Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas is a guy I interviewed back under the Obama-Biden years when he was first the director of USCIS and then the deputy DHS secretary. They knew undoing all of the Trump policies was going to lead to a surge. However, it may be the case that they simply didn't see that it would explode so fast. Now, just the thing I keep pointing to when I explain this to people is we had the 100,441 encounters at the border in the month of February. That's unheard of. In 2019, when it was a crisis, we had 66,883. So to have 100,000 this early, and by the way, in 2019, we didn't hit that kind of heavy traffic at 100,000 until the month of May, when it is the heaviest traffic traditionally because of the weather. And so, they are seeing clearly cause and effect of their undoing Trump policies. Then the story I broke on Fox yesterday is in that Rio Grande Valley sector where I started these 17 days there in McAllen, Texas, across from Matamoros and Reynosa. They're processing them without a notice to appear, a court date for an asylum hearing. So that people understand, that is a hugely significant development, because in this Rio Grande Valley, where they're having more than 2,000 apprehensions a day now, they are literally taking people when they cross the river illegally, marching them literally a mile up to a temporary outdoor processing site, taking their name, their fingerprints, their biometrical data, putting them on a bus and driving them to the bus station in McAllen and turning them loose. And that's, if you think that those migrants are going to walk into an ICE office on their own and seek an asylum hearing, officials tell me, you're not likely to see very many of those at all.
Fox News correspondent Griff Jenkens on the phone with us. This is Ryan Wiggins. Griff, you said you've been at the southern border for 17 days. Compare and contrast what you've seen in these 17 days compared to just a few months ago, policy aside, just from a humanitarian standpoint.
That's a great question, Ryan. I mean, from a humanitarian standpoint, I watch the border a lot, and I've seen obviously things take off. And remember, you really can put your finger on January 20th. I mean, the day one promises to put a moratorium on deportations, the day one promise to remove the MPP program or remain in Mexico. These things, and then of course the stopping the wall construction, but these things have a huge pull factor effect. So compare it to 2 years ago when I flew all the way to San Pedro Sula, Honduras, where all caravans originate. I followed it for 7,000 miles through Honduras, through Guatemala, across the Guatemala-Mexico border at Tapachula, across the Suchiate River, and then all the way through the entire interior of Mexico. And we ended up that time at Piedras Negras across from Eagle Pass. Back then, those people were coming, even though they knew that Trump had hard and stiff policies and was not afraid to expel people by any means. Now, you have really this Title 42 COVID restriction is the only reason why the administration is expelling people, but every other indicator is causing people to be motivated to come. And at the end of the day, there's no greater driver of these migrations, pull factor, if you will, than people back in those countries in the Northern Triangle of Honduras, Guatemala, and El Salvador, seeing those that went before them getting across the border. So when the Biden administration immediately lifted the Remain in Mexico policy and then started to expeditiously move those people across from the camps in the one like I'm at now into the U.S. to begin to wait for their asylum hearing, everyone back in those home countries said, let's go. Now's the time to go. They don't care what the rhetoric is. They see the success of the border crossing and they come. Add to that the number of people that are planning to cross illegally between the ports of entry, and they see them being caught and released and not even held to a standard of trying to appear to a court or therefore end up being, in violation of not showing up to court. Therefore, if you got picked up, you would be immediately expelled. It's conditions that are going to be fostering all kinds of numbers exceeding what we've ever seen possibly in the last 20 years. And that's why my DHS Secretary Mayorkas was willing to say it publicly.
Wow. We're speaking with Fox News correspondent Griff Jenkens from Tijuana, Mexico right now. We've seen a lot about these unaccompanied minors. We've seen some new photos that have been released today. I think it was from Project Veritas, who showed the inside of some of these soft-sided facilities that have been built up, the way they segregate by gender and by what I understood was age/size of these kids who are coming across. How do these kids at such a large number get to the point where they're at the border and they need to be housed by us? What is that journey like? And what are we doing with them now that they're here?
Well, we're doing everything we can. At least the Biden administration seems to be doing that. And, to Ryan's point about the humanitarian crisis, the unaccompanied minors is truly the center, the epicenter of the tragedy that it is. The journey that I just told you I made from Honduras, it is a dangerous and difficult journey. The children, the unaccompanied minors that were in the caravan I was in, which was about 4,000 or 5,000 people, we would see these packs of teenagers and younger because their parents had put them on this perilous journey and they stuck together stronger in numbers because they're afraid of the traffickers preying on them, the criminal organizations. Many of them we heard here. I spoke to a woman that told me on camera that that some of the children in this camp alone have been a few attempted kidnappings, and that's just an unbelievable dangerous situation. And it speaks to the desperation of the condition that people in those home countries would put their child on a trek like that. And, I think at the end of the day, there's going to be perhaps some blame to go around because the administration knew that when they softened all of these policies, there would be those coming in greater numbers. And in 2014, which was the last biggest unaccompanied minor crisis that was under the Obama-Biden administration, then Vice President Biden got a firsthand look at what would happen. So even if you knew it was going to happen, you wanted to be ready. Well, now we see all of a sudden these new facilities keep popping up, right? There's the one now in, they're going to put people in the Dallas Convention Center. And just over the weekend on Saturday, I was in El Paso reporting that near me in Pecos, Texas, they're opening yet another minor facility to hold 500 to 2,000. And so I think there's a little bit of blame possibly to go around for the administration in the fact that no one said, hey, when we do this, when we remove the Trump policies, we're going to get a heavier flow. We need to have the space for these children because we know they could come in heavy numbers. Even if they never did and you built the space, you just stand it down. But they clearly had not created ahead of time the space to put them up. And that's led to this tragedy of these children being held in Border Patrol stations for more than 72 hours, in some case, a week on end.
Griff, you've mentioned that these parents are sending these children, in large part to escape the current situations of wherever their home is, Guatemala, El Salvador, Honduras, or any of these locations. Is the hope that they can get across and then the parents can come join them? And when they send these children on this perilous journey, who's organizing the supervision? Where does the organizational structure to participate in this type of a caravan come from?
Good question, because the answer is there is no structure, none that I've seen. It's loose, and that's what makes it so very dangerous. And the reason, first part of your question, the reason why they're sending them is because we simply have said that we will not expel unaccompanied minors. Anyone under 17, under 18, we will not expel them. And so they're going to keep sending them if they're guaranteed to get across, because in most cases, these people sending them have some relative, some friend in the United States already. And so they hope that the child gets there. But, we hear all kind of horror stories, and I saw it in the caravan. I haven't witnessed it here in the camp I'm in now, but back in 2019, we had numerous cases of children that were put with families, and we were asking them, is this your mother? Is this your father? And a few times the answer was no. They were using the children to cross as a family unit, which in 2019 was getting preferential treatment for trying to not get expelled.
Well, you are doing wonderful work down there, and we've followed your reports, as you said, for the last few weeks here, and we look forward to having another conversation with you at your convenience, because the eye is on the real situation there. That's where the truth is going to be exposed. So we appreciate the access to you today, Griff. Thank you so much for your time.
I'm always glad to join you, and I'll only come back if Katie gets a promotion and a raise.
Okay, I have nothing to do with that, but I will go hound some people and make sure that is the case.
I'm just teasing. Thanks for having me. And guys, it's a very serious subject. I'll come back anytime, and it's going to be one we're going to be talking about at least for more weeks and more months.
Thank you so much, Griff Jenkens, Fox News correspondent on the scene in Tijuana, Mexico, with us right there. Thank you so much. All right, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, Mark Krikorian is the executive director at the Center for Immigration Studies, and he will join us here in just a minute. Don't go away.
Don't think I've ever seen your kind of pretty.
You're listening to The Annie Fry Show.
You gotta look.
Interact with Annie on Facebook. The Annie Fry Show.
So if you don't mind, I'd like to know you better. Take me the long way around your...
March 23rd is National Puppy Day, but you can celebrate Puppy Day every day with my friends out at Petland in Lake St. Louis. Mark Cox here. Puppies have been hard to come by during the pandemic. If you've been wanting to add a new fuzzy member to your family this year, visit Petland. The owners, Tom and Jeff, have amazing relationships, and they offer the best selection of puppies in Missouri. That's PetlandSTL.com. Visit them at 6131 Ronald Reagan Drive in Lake St. Louis.
The Metro East is no stranger to severe weather. It's why you stay prepared with everything from first aid kits to flashlights. At Ameren, Illinois, we're prepared too. Prepared to restore your power quickly and safely, and to inform you of outages in your area and updates on restoration times with text alerts sent right to your phone. Stay a step ahead of severe weather by signing up for outage notifications today at amerenillinois.com/alerts.
Hello, fashion-conscious home lovers. Let's transform your lovely home's sense of fashion with the most beautifully current and stylish chic designer window treatments. Just contact Michael for an in-home visit at ProctorDrapery.com. 7 days. It's Proctor, spelled like doctor.
Proctor Drapery, the best in town. No finer window fashion can be found. Call for an appointment at your home. Spell Proctor like doctor.
You hear all the time about Diamonds Direct's prices and selection and warranties. All true, and all good reasons to give us a visit. But what really sets Diamonds Direct apart is something that's hard to put into words. But you will feel it. You'll know it from the minute you walk in. It's our unique culture, our passion, our genuine and absolute desire to totally revolutionize the way you experience jewelry shopping, with a laser focus on celebrating your special moments. Every associate, every receptionist, every jewelry craftsman, every single person at Diamonds Direct shares this DNA, this overwhelming desire to exceed your expectations, to honor your trust, to revel in your moment, to make your experience truly magical. This is not a mission statement written on our wall. This is the essence of who we are. It's what drives us every day. It's why we do what we do. Diamonds Direct. Your love, our passion. For real. Olive and 270 at City Place.
Considering selling your home right now? Maybe you're thinking, I wonder how much my home is worth. Reach out to the Monsheen team today for the personal touch that you need, the extreme attention to detail to make sure that your home, when you put it in the hands of Christy and JT Monsheen, is going to get at or above asking price. Many houses are selling before they ever hit the listing market, but you don't know until you call. 636-537-8288. That's 636-537-8288. Online, it's
KFTK FM Florissant, K254CR St. Louis, driven by the Bommarito Automotive Group, 97.1 FM Talk, a radio.com station.
A bipartisan push to address the surge of migrants. I'm Pam Huso, Fox News. In a letter to President Biden, Senate Republican John Cornyn of Texas and Senate Democrat Kyrsten Sinema of Arizona say aggressive steps need to be taken to secure the southern border. This as the White House dispatches senior officials for immigration talks with Mexico and Guatemala.
Democratic Congressman Henry Cuellar has released photos of overcrowded conditions at a CBP facility in Donna, Texas. Republican Governor of Texas, Greg Abbott, is worried about coronavirus spread, telling Fox and Friends.
Now the Biden administration is importing COVID into the state of Texas, exposing more Texans to that.
More than 800 unaccompanied minors have spent more than 10 days in the custody of Customs and Border Patrol, according to documents obtained by Axios. Current law requires children to be processed within 72 hours.
Fox's Rachel Sutherland. Cases of COVID-19 are rising in some parts of the U.S. The White House says we need to remain vigilant. Sanctions over human rights abuses have been leveled against Chinese officials. The coordinated action was taken by the U.S., the European Union, Britain, and Canada. The sanctions follow tense talks between the U.S. and China last week.
It was a substantive meeting. It was a 2-day meeting. They covered a range of issues from our concerns about human rights abuses to aggression in Hong Kong, Taiwan, our concerns there, our concerns about economic and intellectual property.
White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki. Some movement in Minneapolis where a 14th juror has been seated for the trial of former police officer Derek Chauvin, who's charged with murder in the death of George Floyd. The juror is a 20-year-old social worker. At least one more is needed before opening statements next week. America's listening to Fox News.
There are new forms of the coronavirus. Just what we needed, right?
Yeah. So we wondered, are we doing enough to protect ourselves and our son?
Turns out we are. Because things like well-fitted masks, 6 feet of space, avoiding crowds.
All of that still works. And getting vaccinated, when it's our turn.
COVID may not be letting up.
But neither are we.
We can do this. Learn more at cdc.gov/coronavirus. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
I hate Tom's Tulip Shop. It just smells so flowery. Like, we get it, you're a flower shop. You don't need to remind us.
No matter how hard you work for your small business, online reviewers will find something to complain about.
I needed a fake plant. They don't sell fake plants. Thanks for nothing, Tom.
And while Progressive can't save you from these trolls, we can help you save money on commercial, auto, and business insurance.
Then he says, have a great day. I'll decide what kind of day to have.
Get a quote online today at progressivecommercial.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliated and third-party insurers.
Air Comfort Service Heating and Cooling Weather with Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
Our next weather system is on the way, and that's why the clouds will continue to increase as we go through the afternoon. But we're dry. Windy, 65 for the high. Tonight, cloudy, windy. The evening's dry, increasing showers well after midnight tonight. 53 for the mild low. On Tuesday, periods of rain showers, maybe a rumble of thunder, non-severe. Windy, 63 on Tuesday. This is 97.1 FM Talk. Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
It's time for a redistribution of wealth. Mark Cox style, Bernie. $1,000 is on the line. Want to win?
This hour's keyword is taxi, the ancient Uber. Text just the word taxi to 72881 by the end of the hour for a chance to win your $1,000 redistribution of wealth from Mark Cox. That's taxi to 72881. Message and data rates apply. Don't text and drive. One national entry will be drawn.
Presented by Rocket Mortgage. When you need an expert to help navigate the home loan process, Rocket can. When you need certainty in the home buying process with a loan that fits your life, Rocket can.
Are you sick and tired of your janitorial company not meeting your expectations? Call Jan Pro of St. Louis, the commercial cleaning company you can count on. Have you had it with your cleaning guys not showing up? Call Jan Pro of St. Louis to get the job done. The Jan Pro cleaning and disinfection process guarantees satisfaction for a wide range of industries and budgets through quality, technology, and a measurement for a consistent clean every time. Tired of no follow-up? Call Jan Pro of St. Louis, 314-989-9977. Trusted, clean, guaranteed.
As Old Man Winter hits us, Mango wants to remind you to check your gas meter for snow and ice accumulation, because too much snow and ice could cause a natural gas leak. Get more tips from the Missouri Association of Natural Gas Operators at mosafegas.com.
A reading from the Golden Oak Lending Book of Mortgage Lingo.
What is a cash out refi? It's using the equity in your home to pay off high interest credit cards. Paid it off! Yes! I'm James Hawkins, president of Golden Oak Lending. With mortgage rates at a record low 1.875%, you can save hundreds each month and skip your next 2 payments. You'll pay nothing out of pocket, and we never charge for a home appraisal if we can't close your loan. And remember, our local lending experts speak mortgage and love translating for our customers. Eliminating debt means putting your dreams back on the table today.
Updated bathroom?
Updated bathroom and a pool table?
Don't push it, Rick.
Get started with our fast and easy zipline tool at goldenoaklending.com.
NMLS 114937, 1.875% fixed, 2.913% APR. FHA 15-year mortgage with 20% equity and approved credit. 111 Westport Plaza, St. Louis, Missouri.
Whether you're an experienced sports bettor or someone who's just starting out, BetQL is here to help us become better bettors. Get access to data and insights the sportsbooks don't want you to see. Bet smarter and beat the books. Download the BetQL app or visit BetQL.com today.
Dutch Boy's new Platinum Plus paint with Stain Shield technology has the performance you expect from a luxury paint at a price you didn't. Platinum Plus is up to 50% more washable and stain resistant than a leading premium paint in satin sheen. Superiority ranges from 24 to 50% depending on sheen selected. Platinum Plus keeps your walls looking new longer. Menards and Dutch Boy Paint have you covered. Go ahead, live your life.
Get 11% off everything now at Menards. Savings or mail-in rebate. See store for details.
Forensic IT is online at forensicit.com. These are the insurance people that you need. And by insurance, I mean for your IT situation with your business, your small business, your large enterprise. If you're located on the Illinois side, if you're located on the Missouri side, both accommodated by Forensic IT. Let me list off a few things that they can help you with. They specialize in manufacturing support, system patching, antivirus updates, also backups and disaster recovery solutions for those oh crap moments where you go to look for something that's supposed to be saved somewhere on your computers and it is not there and it is important, vital information. Protecting your business through technology is absolutely necessary, and you need people who are trustworthy, who are very good at what they do. They offer both on-site and remote support for you and your business, and they're available for you to call right now. 314-677-3950. That's 314-677-3950. Call the amazing folks at Forensic IT and develop a good relationship that's going to have you breathing a sigh of relief that it's all taken care of for your business in the future. Online at forensicit.com.
You can listen to 97.1 on radio.com through your smart speaker. It's information with perspective. Just ask it to play 97.1 FM Talk. Powered by Dell Technologies. Call 877-ASK-DELL. The Annie Fry Show is sponsored by Forensic IT, the tech experts that find the root cause of your technical problems. ForensicIT.com.
That is exactly what I needed to hear.
Thank God someone here knows what they're talking about.
That's us. That's right. Gotta love this American ride.
Right, you need to take the time and get the full picture.
Come on, turn the radio on. It's Saturday and I won't be long.
Don't get me wrong, I love the ladies. I mean, they rev my engine, but they don't belong in the newsroom. It is Anchor Man, not Anchor Lady.
What do you want from me? I'm not America's sweetheart.
Goodness sake, kid. Keep your voice down. Your father's listening to the radio.
I'm not America's sweetheart.
This is the Annie Fry Show.
Because President Trump understood
that 90% of the Central Americans that come to our border and claim asylum never get relief from U.S. courts because they simply don't qualify. That data is easily available on the Department of Justice website. Anybody can look at it. And I doubt President Biden has looked at it or Alejandro Mayorkas has looked at it, because if they did, then they're facilitating immigration fraud on the border. It's just to ignore that. 90% of Central Americans don't get relief from U.S. court to claim asylum. And if you look at the Department of Homeland Security life cycle report, less than 3% of all Central Americans who get ordered removed by a federal judge have left this country.
Less than 3%, if you listen to Tom Homan there, less than 3% who have been ordered to be removed are exiting this country. That is the predicament that we've been in. And now we see an even larger influx on our southern border of people coming here. People who are coming here who said, in their words, air quotes, basically, they're here because Joe Biden is the president, and they wouldn't have tried this when President Trump was in office. Let's get the brass tacks on how we got to this point here with Mark Krikorian, who is the executive director at the Center for Immigration Studies. Mark, a pleasure to have you on the show. Thank you for your time today.
Well, thanks for having me.
So I got to ask the question here. We've listened to immigrants say that they came here because of the Biden administration is in office, because of their policies. How drastically different, if you can peg that January 20th date, the end of the Trump administration, the beginning of the Biden administration, how drastically has that changed our situation on our southern border?
Oh, amazingly drastically. It's not like there was nobody showing up illegally at the border under Trump, but he had more or less gotten it under control. And Biden undid things. Even some of the people in the administration were taken aback, in the words of the Washington Post story, at how quickly and how much the administration undid. For instance, there's something called the Remain in Mexico program. And the point of that was to take away the incentive to sneak across the border, say the magic words about asylum that you've been coached to say, and then you'd be released. What that Remain in Mexico program did is said, look, you can apply for asylum, which in my opinion you shouldn't be allowed to if you pass through Mexico, because Mexico has its own asylum system, but that's the way the law is now. So yes, they said you can apply for asylum, but when you get your hearing date, you're going to be sent back across the border into Mexico to wait for your hearing date to come up. The point is, you wouldn't be able to use a claim of asylum as kind of a gambit to get past the Border Patrol to the bus station, and then you disappear. Well, Biden undid that on day one. Another thing is this is a public health order because of the pandemic that allows the Border Patrol to just turn around anybody they find, no fuss, no bother, push them back across the border into Mexico. The technical term for them is Title 42 expulsions. Well, Biden and his people said this is horrible, fascistic, Trump, evil, blah, 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 the usual stuff. Well, then they said, yeah, but we're keeping that in place. But they made an exception for so-called unaccompanied minors, almost all of whom are teenagers. And increasingly, they're making exceptions for people who bring kids with them, family units. So they, in fact, have gutted that order that allowed the Border Patrol to just turn people around and send them back. And guess what? Illegal immigrants who come in and are let go call home. They all have phones. They call home and they say, hey, they dropped me off at the bus station. I'm headed to, Uncle Joe's house in Chicago. Come on up. What did the Biden people think was going to happen? It's not clear to me, but they should have known that they were letting loose, that they were starting a really bad surge at the border. Mayorkas himself, the DHS secretary, has acknowledged that the numbers at the border are going to be the highest in at least 20 years.
Mark Krikorian, executive director at the Center for Immigration Studies, on the phone with us. It seems as if the Biden administration has really put itself, and thereby our country in a terrible situation here. On one hand, they're trying something different than the Trump administration did, and it's failing terribly. On the other hand, they're most likely not going to do anything that Trump did because he was Trump and they ran on that. Where does that put policy going forward? Are we just, the genie's out of the bottle? They can't do anything about it?
Well, it's a good question. And I think they're asking that in the White House, too. It's like, how do we get ourselves out of this? They can't do the stuff that Trump did, at least most of it, because the whole point, like you said, was that Biden ran as not being Trump. And so they can't, he's politically precluded from doing that. There's two things that they are doing that they kind of hope with their fingers crossed will make a difference. It won't, but that's their hope. One is they're bribing Mexico to do the enforcement for us. They are delivering vaccination doses that, when Americans haven't all been vaccinated, they're delivering vaccines to Mexico as a bribe. It's just openly a bribe to get Mexico to do a better job at breaking up smuggling in the southern part of its own country. In other words, the Biden people are unwilling to do immigration enforcement, so they're hoping they can bribe Mexico to do their jobs for them. And, the Mexican cops, there's no Miranda warnings in southern Mexico. They can, break anybody's head they want. They can do whatever they want. And the Biden people are counting on that as a way of reducing the pressure at our border. It may help a little bit, not going to help that much. The other thing the Biden people hope will reduce the pressure is they are restoring and expanding a program Obama had in place called the Central American Miners Program. Miners meaning underage, not coal miners. And the whole point of that, not to go into detail, was to fly people directly from Central America into the interior of the United States so nobody saw them at the border. And they think that will relieve the pressure, that people will wait around for their turn rather than come up to the border. It's going to fail because a lot of people won't qualify and they'll just come to the border anyway.
Right.
But anyway, my point is those are the two things they hope will work. Neither one of them is going to work.
We're speaking with Mark Krikorian, who's the executive director at the Center for Immigration Studies. Mark, I think that right now, a lot of people are asking very important questions about how is this occurring, what's taking place at the southern border. But you make a very important point, which is where do these people go once they're here? I want to ask you to tell me what is the danger for American citizens, people who are here. What is the danger for people to have these individuals being placed wherever? Is there a tracking system of who gets released where? Do we know where these undocumented immigrants are going? Do we know what they're doing for a living, how they're being accommodated, how they're receiving what they need to receive in order to live a life here in the United States? What is the concern for the American citizen living in one of these towns or communities that may or may not know that this is happening next door?
The answer is we don't really know very well where they are or what they're doing, sort of, sometimes maybe a little bit, but not very well. Now, the concerns for Americans are multiple. First of all, this is undermining sovereignty because Congress passed rules about how many immigrants we take. And those rules are basically being, this sort of making an end run around these rules designed to protect America's workers, protect America's social welfare system, et cetera. In a local level, to the extent these people really are minors, some of them aren't, they're just lying about their age, but some of them are, they're going to show up in your schools. And they don't just spread an inch thick across the country. They're going into places where there's lots of Central Americans. So they're going to the D.C. area, Long Island, Los Angeles. They're going to places where there's lots of Central Americans already. And, do you really think those schools can handle it, especially given what's been going on for the past year? And then the smaller but still pretty important issue, because the consequences are so serious, is that we have no idea which one of these people are criminals or not. Most of them aren't. Most of them are just regular working stiffs trying to game our system. But some of them are bad guys. the cartels are increasingly running this smuggling operation. In fact, it's so bad that the cartels now have color-coded wristbands they put on the people they're smuggling, so they know who's paid, who hasn't paid, who belongs to which smuggling cartel. And they're using this flow to not only hide bad guys in the flow, but also they will, for instance, send 100 family members, just normal folks, but 100 of them to one part of the border. All of the Border Patrol, everything has to focus on processing those guys. And 5 miles in the other direction, they're moving their dope or whatever bad guys they have across the border because nobody's watching because everybody's tied up dealing with this flow.
I mean, it's the domino effect of the consequences of what is taking place on our southern border right now. I mean, it seems like you got to turn the water faucet off before you can even fix the problem of the flooding. And
absolutely. And my question is, why did the House of Representatives just pass 2 amnesty bills last week?
Answer that question.
For like 4 million people.
You must have a speculation as to why that is. Why do you think?
Well, I mean, because the Democrats have a majority, and they figure they have some kind of majority in the Senate, majority-ish, and they're hell-bent on doing this. And I think the reason they're not being cautious, even though they're Democratic congressmen on the Texas-Mexico border, Mexican-American Democrat congressmen who are screaming bloody murder about this, they're going ahead with it in the House anyway, because I think they figure they're going to lose anyway next year. And so they're going to go for broke. They figure if we're going to lose, well, we'll lose bigger, but we'll get these things through. And once they amnesty 3-4 million people, if these bills pass, there's no way that can be undone. And so, they'll get what they want. They figure they'll take the hit politically, and they'll try to, run again in 2 or 4 years after that to try to get the majority back.
Last question for you. We're speaking with Mark Krikorian with Center for Immigration Studies. The massive amount of danger to the country in so many different facets right now that you've laid out so far in this segment here. And, balancing that with why would these Democrats who have just a sliver of the majority right now in Washington, D.C. be willing to do this? Does it really come down? Is it as simple as trying to turn these migrants into voters?
Yeah, that's some of it. I mean, it really is, because especially the bills they just passed last week wouldn't amnesty all the illegal immigrants, just 3 or 4 million, as though that's a small number. That would be the biggest amnesty ever. Right. But those amnesties specifically allow beneficiaries to become citizens in time for the next presidential election. I mean, it's that nakedly political. And that's always there, but there's more to it than that. Increasingly, the mainstream of the Democratic Party has become radicalized on immigration. And what used to be a fringe view is now a mainstream view. And that is the United States has no right to keep anybody out who wants to come here. It's as simple as that. Not all Democrats believe that. Yeah. But exactly. I mean, they just don't believe we're evil, we're bad, we're pulling statues down. What right do we have to keep anybody out of the United States? That's what's underlying this. It's not just politics. It's not just money.
Well, in that process, we will wane our ability to provide a refuge for people in doing so. And I know that you and the many people at Center for Immigration Studies are shining a spotlight on this. It's very important right now. Time is of the essence. And that's why we value your opinion here. Thank you so much for the time today, Mark.
Thank you.
We'll talk to you again soon. Mark Krikorian, Executive Director at the Center for Immigration Studies. Have you ever looked at your own budget? And have you ever been on the side of budgeting, maybe when the kids these days call it adulting, when you do things like name paying your bills something catchy and fun because it makes you feel good and you call it adulting, that's when if you're using the word adulting, I fear that you have not achieved adult status yet. But I digress. When you move from the place where you are living paycheck to paycheck, if maybe even worse, to doing the things that grown-ups do, doing the responsible things that grown-ups do. When you realize that if you budget yourself and you understand what you can and cannot afford, and you live within those means, you can help so many more people You can contribute to so many more things in your own capacity. Certainly your contribution to whatever you want to help is not comparable to anybody else's because your circumstances are different. But once you understand what you're capable of and you know where your money is going, you can put yourself in a position to help more people because you've been responsible. Right now, it's as if our country is covering up all of that responsibility that we have, putting eyes on paper to see where our money is going, what we're spending our money on, and what the consequences of our actions and non-actions are being, exponentially going to cause us massive trouble down the line. And if we lose that battle between what we can do and what we can't do because we were irresponsible, we will cease to be able to help anybody. We will not even be able to help ourselves. And that's the most dangerous outcome of this entire situation right now. Let's take a quick break. When we come back, we can get your reaction to this. If you would like to weigh in, we've talked a lot about immigration today, but it certainly is the hot topic of the moment. 314-241-9797. 314-241-9797. From what I understand, Peter Doocy has been questioning Jen Psaki again today on this issue. We'll dip into that and see if he was able to get any actual answers out of her, or maybe it was just Snickers and snide remarks. Not like Snickers, like the candy, although that might be an improvement. We'll see. Stick around. More Annie Fry Show in a minute.
We got the dreamer's disease, age 14. We got you down on your knees.
The Annie Fry Show is streaming online. Watch us live on YouTube and subscribe. Interact with Annie on Facebook. The Annie Fry Show.
Come on down to Edwards Carpet Stores.
Edwards Carpet and Mohawk, two brands synonymous with quality flooring. Mohawk Smart Strand Forever Clean, the most durable, easiest to clean carpet on the planet, is now on sale at Edwards Carpet.
You hear all the time about Diamonds Direct's prices and selection and warranties. All true, and all good reasons to give us a visit. But what really sets Diamonds Direct apart is something that's hard to put into words. But you will feel it. You'll know it from the minute you walk in. It's our unique culture, our passion, our genuine and absolute desire to totally revolutionize the way you experience jewelry shopping. It's why we do what we do. Diamonds Direct. Your love, our passion.
This is Lisa Stofan. Heard the Mark Patrick weight loss hypnosis hype? Well, I attended because my father stopped smoking. I lost 70 pounds and my friend lost 20 pounds in the first 2 months.
Wow, that's remarkable. Join Mark Patrick's hypnosis seminar and lose the weight or stop smoking for only $49.99, guaranteed or your money back. Because of coronavirus, seminar now online live Thursday, March 25th or Saturday, March 27th for the St. Louis area. Details at markpatrickseminars.com. Register now at markpatrickseminars.com.
We all want clean air, clean water, and clean energy. At Ameren, Missouri, we're making real progress. With the right technologies and policies, a clean energy future is possible. Ameren, Missouri is working to make the energy we provide as clean as we can, as fast as we can, while also keeping it reliable and resilient. For us, the path forward is clear. That's energy at work. Learn more at amerenmissouri.com/clean.
Hey, it's Mark Reardon for Zero Res Carpet Cleaning, and Zero Res is coming along with the Mark Reardon Show over to 97.1 FM Talk to support me and my listeners, so that's exciting. If you have not heard about Zero Res and some of the special deals, let me get you on board right here because your carpets are a mess right now. You probably haven't had them cleaned for a while. Certainly, if you haven't had them cleaned, this is the time to do it. Even if you do clean your carpets on a regular basis, think about the winter that we just experienced. A lot of gunk out there from that cold stretch, the salt, the other nastiness that probably came into your house, especially like I do. I have dogs. You just never know what they're bringing in. So let's do something about it with a great offer from my friends at Zero Res right now. 3 rooms of carpet, Zero Resified, starting at just $119. You got to do it right now. Take $50 off the air duct cleaning. Book today, 474-2020. You can also do it online. Make sure you mention the Mark Reardon KFTK special. 3 rooms starting at $119. 474-2020. ZeroResSTL.com. You spell it backwards or forwards. It spells the same. Zero Res.
Jules on Hampton in St. Louis Hills is paying some of the highest prices on gold, silver, diamonds, semi-precious colored stones, and fine watches on site. Jules on Hampton is a premier jeweler with an exquisite selection of diamonds, semi-precious stone jewelry, and vintage watches. Their expert design team can restyle your jewelry to today's contemporary style. They also do jewelry and watch repair. Need extra cash? Jewels on Hampton is paying some of the highest prices on gold, silver, diamonds, semi-precious colored stones, and fine watches. Bring in your collectibles and clocks, sports memorabilia, and figurines too. Jewels on Hampton, 4506 Hampton, just 3 blocks south of Chippewa. Call them at 314-752-5000. Jewels on Hampton.
The latest local forecast and severe weather coverage you can count on from the name in St. Louis weather.
This is 97.1 Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
97.1 FM Talk. Powered by Air Comfort Service.
All the broken hearts in the world still beat. Let's not make it harder than it has to be. So sing then girls, chase boys, chase girls. All the broken hearts in the world still beat. Let's not make it harder than it has to be.
There are 3 detention centers in the state of Texas. One is in Carrizo Springs, which is in South Texas. Another is just outside of Midland. The third one is in Dallas. In Carrizo Springs, we learned there is an outbreak of COVID in that location. In the location in just outside of Midland, Texas, we learned 2 things. One is there is no available clean running water at that Midland camp. A report by the Associated Press showed that about 10% of the kids at that location tested positive for COVID, and we're trying to get updates on the positivity rate of the kids in Dallas.
Governor Greg Abbott of Texas weighing in on the circumstances in the southern portion of his state. And, when you match together what the CDC is telling Americans, the Texans who live in Texas, who are citizens of Texas, and who are lawfully residing in Texas, and you hear the CDC say, now's not the time to travel. Now's the time to keep to yourself and stay put still. And yet we see that the same administration that is working with this CDC and Dr. Fauci, bringing these people across this southern border, as opposed to what the Trump administration had done prior to that. It's a head scratcher. It makes me question what's going on. Here's Trump from earlier this morning.
I kept them in Mexico. By keeping them in Mexico, Mexico becomes much tougher at their northern border because they don't want any more. So I said to Mexico, look, if you're going to do any of this stuff that's bad for us, I'm going to put tariffs on all of the cars that you make for the United States, because before my administration, they stole 32% of our automaking business. The unions don't realize that. The union members realize it, but the heads of the unions that all support Democrats, no matter who they are, they don't realize it. But they took 32% of our automobile business. I said, all those cars that you make are going to be tariffed. So Mexico was great. I must tell you, Mexico was great. The relationships
they're not
they
doing
developed
that
were
anymore.
great. Well, no,
I mean,
now
we can tell that they're not doing
they
that
have a
anymore.
field day. They have people that are rank amateurs. They have people that talk about ideology, but it's not even good ideology. Why would it work? Why are we supposed to take care of the world? And in many cases, the world's criminals. And they're coming over not from the 3 countries plus Mexico. They're coming over now from Yemen. They're coming over from the Middle East.
It's President Trump with Harris Faulkner earlier today. Why are we supposed to take care of the world? The question there is, how do we take care of the world when we can't even take care of ourselves? If you want to give us a call, 314-241-9797. Got a couple people holding on the line. We would like to take your call as well. Let's start with Kim. Kim, thank you for calling the Annie Fry Show. Good to have you here.
Hi, Annie and gang. I just love your show.
Thank you, Kim. Thanks for being here.
No problem. I just want to let you know there's an article in Politico today and in Los Angeles Times that they've sent their reporters into the migrant camps in Mexico, and the coyotes are coming through there, and the parents are sending their children over to the border, and that's why a large of it is parents are sitting over in Mexico. They're deciding to send their children. In the story, one guy had said he had taken his toddler and tossed her over to the line because the Mexican line to the border entry is not very far. She was 3 years old, and he put her over there by herself. hoping that the Border Patrol would get them. So that's a lot of it. And another thing is, how does Biden expect us to take him seriously on this COVID if he doesn't care enough to secure our borders and he's telling us? And that's why a lot of people, we don't even want to get vaccinated. We don't want to do none of it because it seems like it's a lie. He doesn't have no problem releasing. And then we got terrorists that are sneaking in, and they got also the coyotes, I found out in some of these articles, are taking the children and using the same child going back and forth and getting people to go with them to act like their family. And they said this is rampant, and it's going on up and down the migrant thing in Mexico, the stay in Mexico policy. Everybody's deciding to send their children alone, and that's half of the influx. But that's really what I wanted to say.
Well, I appreciate you calling the show, Kim. Thank you for being here. And, you know, what you're describing here is people who are on the southern side of the border who want to be on the northern side of the border, assessing the situation and taking a gamble with their own children. I mean, there's two parts of this. There's two elements to this that two ways that I observe this. And one is that if I put myself as a mother of somebody who was living in a drug-ridden and ruled slum in some country, and I knew, you know, when you consider that a lot of the people who come from these places, I've read these stories, I've seen that the stories be told by the locals there, that the future for their son is to join a gang and to survive the gang, or to get into the drug business that is what leads the corruption that takes place in these countries. What would I do? What would I be willing to do as a mother for my child to save them from that? And I have to tell you, as a mother, there is little that a mother wouldn't do to save their child. That what they wouldn't be willing to risk, with all things and all factors considered, what a mother or a father, of course, wouldn't be willing to do to try to save them from this inevitable life that exists there. Which is why President Trump worked very hard with Mexico to solve the Mexico problem, to make Mexico's southern border, where the first effort was made to stop these caravans from coming, so that by the time it got to the northern border, the southern side of the northern border was policed by Mexico agents who were keeping people from coming here, because this is a Mexico problem before it's an America problem. They have to break the rules in Mexico before they can break the rules in America. What are they fleeing from? And who in their right mind, what kind of parent would sacrifice, risk the life of their child and send them on a caravan like this, that in some cases is certain death for some of these children? What kind of parent would do that? I think about Moses in the Bible. It's kind of the same thing. Moses' parents put Moses, the way they worked to try to save him, to keep him from the circumstances that were inevitably his to endure, and it put him in a position to be saved. I mean, this is not a new concept, where parents have to survey the risks and the consequences of the certain life that is ahead and try to do something that will work to change the narrative, to change the outcome of a situation for their kid. I understand that. But at the same time, you put those circumstances into the same circumstances of people who know that this is happening, that are using the situation and using these children for what? For financial gain, for financial opportunity. And on the other side, what the American government that is controlled by Democrats right now, and the people who are for open borders, we were speaking with Mark Krikorian before, talking about the fact that they want us to have a borderless country. Hillary Clinton has said she wanted to have a borderless Western Hemisphere. These are words, those are old words from her. This is not a new idea. That it is somehow loving and compassionate for Americans to cease to exist in the capacity that it is confined right now by borders on a map. It is not, in fact, compassionate. We can give aid. We can provide refuge. We can provide solace for these individuals who need it. But we can't do it like this. And we're not as individual American citizens so stupidly blind that when we see what's happening here, I mean, if you've seen the Project Veritas photos that are out there right now, they've got these kids shoved in these soft-sided things. They look like potatoes. They look like baked potatoes in a roaster. They're all covered up. They're all stuffed together. This is not compassion. And if you listen to what Mark Krikorian said with Center of Immigration Studies, I asked him, I said, is this as simple as turning these people who come here and who make it, the ones who are left, the ones who don't perish in the process of getting here? Is it as simple as we'll take whoever we can get and whoever can make it here, we're going to turn them into voters and they're going to vote for us? That is a scary and sick, absolutely sick way of engaging in policy. And when Biden says that he'll find his way to the southern border at some time, that means he needs what's happening to happen right now, and he's not willing to go there to stop it. More phone calls when we come back. I think, is it Dave? Is Dave still holding on the line? Dave, hold on. We'll get to your phone call first. If you want to join us, 314-241-9797. How are you reacting to this issue on our southern border? Would love to hear from you. Thank you, Kim, for the phone call as well. Stick around. More Annie Frey Show in a minute.
All the broken hearts in the world still beat. Let's not make it harder than it has to be.
This is the Annie Frey Show. Talk lines are open now at 314-241-9797 or 866-455-9797.
You're listening to the Annie Frey Show live from the Air Comfort Service Heating and Cooling Studio. Air Comfort Service is hiring licensed journeymen. Get guaranteed hours year-round and up to $25,000 signing bonus and more. Apply online at aircomfortservice.com. That's aircomfortservice.com.
If you've listened to 97.1 FM Talk, you have heard of Doug Voss of Voss Financial Safe Money Radio, as he has been a staple on the station as the financial expert for many years. You can hear him on Safe Money Radio several times a weekend on 97.1 FM Talk, and in case you miss any of those shows, on his podcast on radio.com. That's radio.com, and search Safe Money 97.1. So call Doug at 844-676-SAFE. That is 844-676-7233. Doug Voss is a registered representative. Securities offered through D.H. Hill Securities, LLLP. Member FINRA and SIPC.
So I'm looking at my notes with Stewart's American Mortgage here, and it's exciting that I can tell you that as of last week, he's lowered the bagel loan requirements to qualify from $250,000 down to $200,000. That works for home purchases and refinances. If you're doing a cash out refinance, call 314-324-4440 and get with Stewie today. Because if you couldn't qualify before, but now you can because there's $200,000 that he's lowered that limit to $200,000, you need to get on this. Rates are still ridiculously low, and he can get this process fast. Now, purchases. Let's talk about purchases for a second. While the real estate market is going bonkers, you need to be made into the most aggressive and competitive buyer that you can possibly be, right? The bagel loan and Stewie at Stewart's American Mortgage will make you the most competitive that you can be on this market. How? When you use the bagel loan, first of all, for your benefit, you pay no lender fees, which has always been the case for the bagel loan, but he has now added in no closing costs. Yeah, you heard me right. No lender fees and no closing costs. There's no reason not to call Stewie right now and get this process started for you at 314-324-4440. Why are you going to be the most competitive buyer working for that house? Because he can close in as fast as 2 weeks, and you can save money on the costs that you're not going to pay, the fees that everybody else is going to charge you for, and maybe factor that into your loan. And a fast close, you're good to go. 314-324-4440, NMLS number 226715.
I was having a lot of sinus infections. My sinuses were clogged, pressure, headaches.
Linda suffered for years with chronic sinus infections.
You don't feel like doing anything. When you feel like your head is completely clogged, all you want to do is just lay down and sleep. And the pressure is just not fun, always walking around with a headache.
Now her issues are gone. How? A minimally invasive procedure done in the office of ENT and Sleep Medicine Associates called balloon sinuplasty.
I really did not know what it was like to feel like you're really breathing and not being so clogged up. I would do it again in a heartbeat, and I would definitely recommend it for someone else.
Do you suffer with chronic sinus infections, facial pain, pressure, headaches? Find out if balloon sinuplasty is the solution for you. Set an appointment today with ENT and Sleep Medicine Associates. Call 618-206-5935. 618-206-5935. That's 618-206-5935. 5935.
Hi, everybody. This is Sean Rimmerman, your host of We're Having a Senior Moment. Do you have a warm heart and a caring soul? Are you really devoted to being able to help others? Give us a call at Comfort Care 314-965-9600. Let us help you turn your dreams into reality as you help our friends, our families, and our clients live their best lives possible. Remember, 314-965-9600.
You know what makes every diamond unique and special are its 4 C's: cut, clarity, color, and carat weight. But do you know what makes Diamonds Direct special and unique? It's our own 4 C's. The first C, concept. Diamonds Direct has revolutionized jewelry shopping by eliminating middleman markups and giving you direct access to the world's finest diamonds straight from the diamond cutters. The second C, choice. Diamonds Direct's multi-million-dollar selection of precious diamonds is unparalleled. And with over 4,000 designer settings to choose from, you are empowered to make a decision that works for your style and taste. The third C, confidence. With a nationwide price guarantee, free lifetime warranty, our unique 110% diamond upgrade policy, and our no-pressure, no-risk environment, you have total peace of mind. And the fourth C, community. Every year, we partner with local charities and nonprofits with significant donations of time, money, and jewelry to make this a better place for everyone. Diamonds Direct, as unique, special, and rare as every diamond in our showcase. Olive and 270 at City Place.
The Mark Cox Morning Show.
My friends are storing their guns upstairs now because they don't think Joe Biden can make it up there. It's if you want to looking for somewhere safe, put them upstairs.
Come on, pal, give me a break, will you?
Weekday mornings 5 to 9.
Good love, oh, always on, always on, oh, always on the way. I heard him say, yeah.
Welcome back to the Annie Fry Show. I want to get to Dave's phone call here right off the top, and then Katie has something she needs to get off her chest. And it has to do with twerking, so stay tuned for that. We've been talking a lot about immigration today, and we've talked a lot about what is going on the southern border. Does this administration know what's going on the southern border, and how does it compare to how the Trump administration did? And I invited you to call. So, Dave, thank you so much for being here. Appreciate it. What do you think? Hi, Dave.
Annie, first I'll compliment you on. Yeah, I just wanted to thank you, Annie. The connection you make to Moses is excellent.
Thank you.
This is yes, and you're German. I'm going to guess. I'm Irish. At one point my family was. Yes, that's awesome. At one point my family, the Irish, right? So some point or another, most of us have had this in our family. Let me jump to Nicaragua. I've been in Nicaragua. The people are wonderful. It's a beautiful country. We don't hear about it as much as Honduras, but Nicaragua. There's a guy named Daniel Ortega. We at one time supported him, and there was reasons for that. He has now overrun the Constitution. He's on his 4th term. The Constitution of Nicaragua says he's only that'd be like an architect. And I have given myself extra 12 hours to get from Costa Rica.
Dave, I think we're losing you a little bit here. Let's put Dave on hold, and if we can't get a better connection with him, we can get him on here tomorrow, because I know we'll be speaking with Jim Carafano on this issue as well. Sorry, Dave. Just I wanted to hear what you had to say, and it was breaking up quite a bit. I hope you don't either. I hope that the humanity issue of what's taking place on our southern border is not lost on you. But I also understand that just because we have to be putting ourselves in a position to help people in the best way that we can offer that help. And if we cease to exist based on who we are here as Americans, we will not be able to extend that help to the people who need our assistance and need help. Let's get Dave back in here. Sorry about that, Dave. You were breaking up, and I wanted to hear what you had to say. Go ahead.
Yeah, my apologies. So in my own case, I've been in Nicaragua on a number of occasions, and there's a guy named Daniel Ortega that we supported back in the Reagan years, and that's all fine and good. But he's on his 4th term as president, and the people have had enough of it. And we don't hear about Nicaragua as much as Honduras, But if we would just quit supporting the Daniel Ortega regime and the human rights violations, they've executed hundreds. His gangs have executed hundreds of freedom fighters, in the country. Like I said, I've sat in a roadblock where these people have homemade shotguns and burning tires to try to get the president's attention. These people are completely harmless to an American tourist like myself. They're just asking for the same rights that we have in this country of self-determination. And if we would quit supporting people like Daniel Ortega, and just in Mexico last year, it kind of flew by everybody. Their head of national security turned out he was corrupted. He was in with the gangsters. If we could, we don't have to spend a lot of money to do this. Just quit supporting the corrupt officials. Let these people, let their countries be the beautiful places that they are, and a lot of this problem would go away.
Dave, thank you for the phone call. I appreciate it because you're bringing up such a key, important event here. And it's something that Donald Trump touched on in his interview earlier today with Harris Faulkner, which is, as Americans, we send hundreds of millions of our money, our taxpayer dollars, to these countries to assist them there for, trying to involve an economic restoration or economic stimulus that would take place there to give these people some of the spoils of what the American economy has, the spoils that you have participated in with your tax dollars. We send this money to these countries and we say, here, work on getting your act together as a country. Do you think that, I guess it's everybody, it's an American dream, although it's funny to me that the people who are so willfully throwing the doors open on our southern border to let people here detest the American dream and everything that goes along with it. They hate us. There's just so much self-hatred that goes along with, the foundational argument that many progressives have as to why we should have this country wide open. Why are people fleeing these places to come here? There must be, by definition, something pretty freaking magnificent about what crossing that border between Mexico and the United States offers a human being, right? There must be something on the other side of that fence where the grass seems just at least a wee bit greener than it did on the southern side of it. Why is that? And in the midst of that, we send so much money to these countries to try to help them there. President Trump said in his interview with Harris Faulkner earlier today, he goes, we send them that money. They're supposed to be using it to make their countries better, but Lord knows what they're spending that money on. In that country. Lord knows where that money is actually going. When to Dave's point, what I hope he was making, if we could and we should, think about how much money we're having to spend on this immigration. Probably more during the Trump administration than now, but maybe not. Eventually, it's going to cost us an enormous amount of money to sustain what we're doing here. If we invested that money in securing our southern border, and protecting our country, which is, yes, worth protecting, period, full stop. Protect our country and then use what we have, what we are blessed with in this country, if necessary, to help sustain some of these countries and with some expectations attached, deliver some of this money that we're spending right now to these countries to give them something that they can grow upon and maintain so that people don't have to flee that region until these corrupt regimes change. And they're going to have to change from within. We can't go in and change it for them. People are going to want to flee. I can't imagine that there aren't people who are proud Guatemalans or proud El Salvadorans or, from wherever they're coming from that don't want their country to be a place like America, a place where people want to come to, not flee from. And to suggest that bringing them into the United States is somehow or another going to, that is somehow a matter of great generosity on our part. What are we being generous with? Because if we're not being generous with something that is inherently good and great, then that seems inhumane in and of itself. And if we are being generous with something that is good and great, then are we good and great? I'd like an answer to that question from the people from the left. Is this country so good and so great that it is worth fleeing where you're coming from to come here to partake in the greatness that we have? And then obviously the follow-up question is how do we become great in the first place? It's not from being, where are people fleeing to the successfully socialist and communist countries? First, you'd have to show me where they exist. And then we'd have a discussion about that. No, in fact, they're fleeing from those places, the ones that tried, to Miami, where people are twerking all over the street. Katie, how do you feel about it?
We've had so many serious discussions today.
Katie's just sitting there minding her business, producing a show.
And I'm like writing up all of these serious blog posts. We're talking to Griff Jenkens. We're talking to Dr. Hardeman about COVID and vaccines. And all the while, I look up, I keep glancing up as I usually do to Fox and to CNN because I have those on in the room. And Fox News is playing on a constant loop these crazy spring breakers just twerking all day,
in
all
the street,
night, partying their brains out.
They're not on a dance floor.
Nope, they were in the middle of the street.
This one off.
Yes, it is. And it's one specific video that just keeps playing.
I think I know which one.
And it's a twerk off in the middle of the street. And there are so many people. And I was telling Ryan over the break, because I told you guys this is what's happening. And Ryan was like, huh? Are these the people in Miami? And he
wanted an address.
It's you wanted to find out
how close to St. Louis,
who, what, where,
what kind of time.
But
talking here?
It's all of these people that are 21 and 22 and 23 that have been cooped up for a year, that haven't been able to do anything, that haven't been able to live their life in like the prime of trying to live your life at 21 and 22.
You know whose combined fault this is? This is what happens when Dr. Fauci gets together with Cardi B.
That's true. That is very true.
Yeah, I've been twerking on Market Street.
This is what you get.
I mean, it is no surprise that there are just kids going wild right now. I am not shocked.
It would be a terrible time to have one of your college years, or, especially I see these high school students who are losing their senior year of sports, or their proms or their graduations. Gosh, man, I feel like it's time to have I grew up in Southern Illinois. It's time to have a good old prom field party is what I would be saying. It's outdoors or something. Stay 3 feet away when people are looking.
Mm-hmm.
It's not going to be the worst thing that's happened at some of those field parties. I'll tell you that. Right. All right, stick around. Tim Jones taking up here at 3 o'clock on 97.1 FM Talk. We will be back tomorrow at noon, and I sure hope you will be as well. Tim Jones up next.
So beat the drum with me.